right, we're back. Northwest Driftcast. Got Brad Davis in the house. He missed the last event. And so we got Tori Jelinek back in the house.
Yep.
It's going to be a good one tonight, guys. So glad you're with us. Hey, Brad, man. How you been, bro?
Good. You seem like you're yelling.
No, I'm not. What's good, man? So last podcast, you were out in California, picking up that sweet ride.
Yeah, I decided to drive about 40 hours in 4 days, and I was down in Southern California at the Blackout Garage for about 24 hours or less, and then loaded up and drove home, and that was a long trip.
Yeah, you left, what was it,
Thursday morning.
You made really good time, didn't you?
Yeah, I left Thursday morning at about 8 o'clock after dropping my son off at daycare, and then I made it in time by 5 o'clock on Sunday. I was home.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, it was brutal.
A lot of driving.
Brutal.
Yeah, because I was watching your stories, and you were like, it was like you were leaving, and then by the time you got there, it was the next day at like noon or something like that.
I think it was like 3 o'clock or something like that, or 2 o'clock. I can't even remember. The worst was that when you get into LA at that time,
yeah,
like I'm watching my map, like trying to figure out what the best way to go is, and as I'm going down the highway at 60 miles an hour, I haven't hit traffic yet. The time of arrival is getting later and later and later. And I'm just watching it, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so tired. I just want to get there.
Yeah.
And it was just brutal. And
then you had to turn around and come right back.
Yep. But driving home, like, it sucked to get out of LA, but once we got out of LA, it was pretty well, like...
It was fun.
Yeah.
Did you guys end up going to the beach or anything?
Yeah, went to the beach, because I got it all loaded up and everything that day.
Yeah.
On Friday.
Right.
And so Saturday, we went to the beach, kicked it, just enjoyed some of the sunshine, saw some dolphins.
Nice.
Just relaxed and just got ready for the drive ahead, and then I stopped in LA, saw one of my buddies that I haven't seen in a while. He's a tattoo artist. He's going to tattoo my back, and so we got some of the stuff hashed out for that. I'm going to see him in February, and then we just went as fast home as we could. We stopped at the Sheraton in Redding, and they have 24-hour surveillance and like somebody that goes around their property, so I felt really safe. I was so afraid that I wasn't gonna be able to sleep because James Goldman let me borrow his open deck trailer, so the car is like, there's no locks. We wrapped the windows shut so it didn't get wet on the way up,
right? And
it was just like sitting out on the trailer, and even when we stopped for food and I could barely not see the rig, I was like paranoid the whole time.
What were you and Dylan doing to the car while you were down there? I saw you guys were working on it a little bit.
So there was no transmission in the car, and
part of the deal, right?
That was a part of the deal.
Yeah.
Because that was his transmission is staying with him and going into his new car, and it was in the Huddy car, but the only thing that was too bad is that turns out the parts weren't right that he had for my transmission, and so he ended up having to send it to me when I got home. So fortunately, we were able to bolt everything back together. We really only had to bolt the exhaust, make sure everything was more or less there, and then we were able to fire off the car because the starter is on the front instead of the back, so it didn't need it. It doesn't even need the bell housing, so we were able to fire it off, and
you pretty much instantly fell in love as soon as you heard it.
Dude, that thing makes you want, when it fires off, it makes you want to beat your chest.
Dude,
it's like Tim Allen.
Yeah. Well, that's like how I felt like today. Like my car, I haven't started my car since DriftCon. It's been like over 2 months. And I was like, man, I'm getting ready to pull my engine, and so I'm like, you know what, I just need to fire it one more time, like just to remind me that do I really want to possibly LS swap this thing? And sure enough, as soon as it lit off, I was like, yes, I definitely want to. Like, I love the sound. Like a Ford engine, I'm not gonna lie, I actually prefer a Ford engine. Like the way a Ford engine sounds. Even
a 2-valve? Even a 4.6?
Yeah. That's my favorite, honestly. Like a 4-valve, 4.6 is my favorite, hands down. Like, especially with cams. You can't beat them. The problem is they just don't make enough power for a reasonable amount of money. And so But all that sounds really good still. It just sounds amazing.
So mine has a Y pipe. It has like a after the transmission,
Yeah,
it goes
in.
into like a single like
That's what mine is.
6-inch or something, like crazy big exhaust.
Yeah.
It's like 5. It might be 5-inch.
Yeah.
It goes into like a 5-inch and
need
then it
that
turns down.
Because if you're not going to do a Y pipe, you need at least dual 3 inches. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it was, and so it sounds so wicked. That car is just insane. I bought a new helmet. I got a Stilo, and it has like really good sound denting in it. Like,
Right.
And it's all wired for sound for my radios.
Yeah.
And I got to wear it for the first time the last 2 days that I drove it.
Yeah.
And I was so happy because it was like the first time that my ears weren't ringing at the end of the day when I was done driving.
That's good.
Because even with the IS300, it's still like when you're on throttle, it's so loud and you don't really pay attention. You're like, oh, whatever. And then when you're driving home in the truck, you're like, oh man, my ears are ringing pretty good.
Yeah.
So every time somebody rode along with me, I tried to make sure there was earplugs in it for them because it's so loud that it's just.
Do you have it set up for the headphones and all that yet?
Yeah, it's all wired for sound.
Nice.
For my stereo or radios. I made sure that I tested all of them. I got them from J2. They had like a used set from another team.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the podcast last week. John and Jamie, they're super helpful. John's super cool. Jamie, we hardly see Jamie. She's traveling a lot, so we don't get to see her a lot. But yeah, we were super excited to have Tori back on because we were cut short last weekend, and so we asked him if he wanted to come back on, and he was obviously super down. He's been bothering us for God knows how long. Because he was making fun of us about saying how we. Rest in peace, Northwest Driftcast, blah, 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 blah.
You can thank me. I got you guys kickstarted back up.
Well, it's not that we didn't want to. It was just kind of more of a fact that it was just a busy last 4 months.
Yeah, I'm like this is how crazy my life's been.
You're just always gone, bro.
Yeah, my mom has been watching my dog for the last month because like I looked at my calendar and I was like, oh, I'm going to be home for like 8 days this month. And I was like, screw it. So she took my dog for more than a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah. So it was kind of it was our last podcast was really good. It was probably, I feel like it was one of our best ones other than Ben being like 10 feet away from the mic. But now we got 2 mics set up. We're slowly improving. And I'm actually really excited to get back into the studio. That's not my house. And it's going to be actually pretty good, I think, with 2 mics. Actually, I feel like it sounds way better already. But Tori, what's going down, bro? I know that you took your car out this weekend.
Yeah.
And I honestly, personally, am excited for both of you guys more than I am for myself. I've been rooting for both of you guys. Obviously, that's just my passion. I love to see my buddy succeed. But you got to go out Friday. No, you got to go out.
Well,
you're supposed to go out Friday.
Well,
tell us the story.
What I think we should do is we should talk about Brad because Brad. I'll tell you.
About Brad enough, bro.
Yeah, but Brad got to go out on Friday and I didn't, so that's why I think we should go to Brad and see how
Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday.
Well, he just told the story about how he went to pick
Okay. I'll talk about my Saturday first. Fine.
He's on the podcast.
I really want to talk about Brad because I got to see his driving both nights.
Tell me what you think.
Okay, so I've seen Brad. I met Brad probably, 3 years ago, probably when I started drifting.
I know when you met Brad. You met Brad when he was at your house changing tires, and I told him he can go into your house, and I didn't even bother to ask you. That was my bad.
That probably could have been
let random people in Tori's house.
Tattooed up random hoodlum going in my house to take a shit.
On your little kid potty.
My little kid toilet downstairs. No. So, yeah, I want to talk about Brad's driving real quick. So, I've known Brad since he's only had the IS, and I'm not gonna lie, I think that you have definitely struggled with the car, and I know it's not your driving, but I can just tell by the car. It's kind of like when you drive that thing, it's like it's so twitchy where it's like you're really fighting the car the entire time. And then on Friday I saw you drive the new car, and yesterday I saw you drive the new car, and it's like you're a completely different person. Yes, some of it has to do with the car, but because the whole driving aspect, you've always had it. You know, it's always been there. That hasn't been an issue for you, but it is absolutely insane.
That car is easy to drive, even though the front suspension needs some work.
Yeah, it's just insane that it's completely. I mean, I feel like you're a whole new person now. How do you feel about it?
Brad, why didn't you just buy my engine and swap it into the LS? LS IS? Yeah.
LS IS? I actually, not gonna lie, I can tell the whole story about how I got to where I am now with this car. Is that so before the last round of Pro-Am, I was like, the car was just, it was already limping.
Right?
Like,
it was like on rails, like
no, well, I always felt like it drives really well, especially if you drive against people that have a car that is fast. The car wants to drive fast with a lot of angle.
It's always gripped
and
up.
It's always gripped up. It's always doing really well when you're on the turbo. It has a hard time driving against people that are slow because of, for one, maybe I'm a little timid with it because it's like I feel like it doesn't do very well unless you're on throttle really hard.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, the car was limping going into the last round of Pro-Am. I knew I was down on compression. There's making a bunch of, like, the valves are making a bunch of racket and stuff, and there's leaky valves on cylinder 1 and 6. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again next year, like with the JZ and like having to rebuild motors every year, and like not even just rebuild motors every year, like fix motors every year or build a new one.
Give me a quick motor count that you went through past 3 years.
Oh, I've gone through
just for S&Gs.
I've gone through 4 motors. I've gone through 4 motors. This was the 4th. I think this last one was the 4th one. It seems like people, like everybody thinks that, we're building motors and blowing them up. Well, really we weren't. The first 2 were stock.
Yeah.
The second,
we got people knocking on our door.
Hold on one second. I think it's my son.
It's probably Mr.
I'll tell my Saturday. Well, before we get back to that. So Saturday morning, I had my buddy Daniel come over. We had to troubleshoot a alternator issue. So the Phytech system that I have, the fuel injection system, has to have like, I want to say it's like 11.8 or something volts steady for it to run with no issues, right? So
that's pretty common for most.
Yeah. I mean, it is. So I had an issue where my alternator wasn't charging, and we couldn't find the problem at first. Well, we dug a little bit deeper and traced back my complete alternator wire, and underneath the manifold it was just completely burnt and crispy. So underneath the manifold, where we couldn't really see originally, we figured out the problem. Burnt and crispy wire. We don't know why. We just think the gauge was a little bit too small, so we bumped up the gauge, and so far no issues. Got that fixed.
So it completely just melted.
Burnt the whole alternator wire. Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah. We don't know why. My only guess is that the thickness gauge wire was too small. I think it was like, I want to say it was like 12 gauge, which normally is
4 problems.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So
you said it.
No, dude. It's a 1-wire alternator. It's not necessarily a Ford problem. So
just put an LS in it, bro, and it'll solve all your problems.
Your next car is a Ford. You can't. It's like talking shit to yourself. You can't do that.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do the right thing and put an LS in it.
Well,
I know Aaron probably already found out about it, and he's probably already mad, but whatever.
Anyways, before I was rudely interrupted, we had to wire up my fans, so we did that on some nice weather pack connectors, so it's easy to just pull out and replace if I need to, or pull out and put back in if I need to.
Out, right?
No, definitely. So we got that all done, and I went over to the track for a quick 4 laps. I did 2 laps on the tech track, and I went to get in line for a 3rd lap on the tech track, and the car died. So first issue
In the middle of the drift, or
no, died
pulled
like
off?
sitting in line.
Oh, gotcha.
So I have an idling issue. I'm the car honestly will not idle any lower than 17 to 18, 50, 19, 2000 RPMs. I mean, the cam is big, but it's ridiculous. It
Yeah.
will not idle no matter what.
Yeah, I noticed that when you started it up for me, it was like it idles at like 1500 or something.
It's more. It's like
ridiculous.
it's
I don't
so.
understand that. And have you?
It does have a big cam,
You
but
haven't had a dyno tune though, right?
we did an engine dyno, not
Just an
the
engine dyno,
yeah,
so yeah.
correct. So we have a little bit of work to do there. It needs to bump that up a little bit because it doesn't want to run. So
Right.
and it had been sitting for the past few months before the last time I went out, so the battery was dead. Had to push start it, got it running again. Excuse me. Go out for the 3/8, and it does great. No issue there. Ran great. You know, I spun. I'm
Right.
still getting used to it. It's a complete 180 compared to my old setup. It's ridiculous
Which is
how much
really
more power it
strange because
has.
it's not like it has a new angle kit.
No, angle kit's the same.
Yeah, it's strange. It's kind of weird to me. I don't understand how it's so much different.
A little bit suspension is different. There's a little bit less weight in the front end. I have a torque arm now, but I'm not going to say the suspension's a lot different. It's mainly the power band that I need to get used to. So
How is
Go
the
out.
power band comparative?
it's ridiculous. I feel like it revs from 0 to 5,000 in less than a second.
So did you adjust your tire pressure this time?
yeah, I did.
What were
I
you at
actually
this time?
I was down to 15.
Oh dang!
Yeah.
so that's a big jump.
Yeah, so that felt a lot better. I can tell you that much because I was able to, have more grip on the bank,
Right.
opposed to the 40 when the first time I went out and tested.
And what's
like space skates.
I'm used to having 300 horsepower, 350 horsepower.
And what does it make you now?
Just about 600 to the crank.
Oh,
Yeah. So
what's your spring rate?
rear, I just dropped that, so that's another thing that I changed. Before it was 375 and I dropped to 275.
Okay.
So drop that down. So I think that helped a little bit. Before I would get pretty bouncy.
Yeah,
going
you
through
have a torque on it.
torque arm now that's the other biggest change that I made. Suspension wise, there wasn't really many changes. Just dropping a little bit of weight in the front and the torque arm and the springs.
Okay.
So that felt better. Felt a lot planted.
Also planted.
Felt a lot more planted
There you
than
go.
before.
Just a little word there.
Gosh, I've only had a beer and a half, so we
It's
can't
all
blame
nervous.
that.
White Claws.
Yeah, White Claws.
You know, love will drinking clothes.
Oh my god. Other than that, I went out for my second lap on the 3/8, and the car started getting hot, so it got up to like 240, and it was too hot for me. I also saw my oil pressure gauge dropping low, going back up, dropping low, going back up.
Well, how low?
Well, it would drop to like 15 and then stay at like 30, and I kept getting worried. But it was also because the car started to die, so I think the oil
Yeah.
pressure
Did you
gauge
actually-
started to die too.
Did you end up actually checking your oil level after that?
No, I haven't checked that after that.
Okay, what I would do is, I know we were talking about this before the
Yeah.
podcast. Just check the oil, see if you have any shavings on the dipstick.
Yeah, I don't think I have any issues there, but obviously I'll check that. One
But
thing
you
I
can
need.
dropping RPM hard will drop oil pressure pretty hard.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But one thing I noticed on the gauge is I was revving it up. Once it was hot, I was revving it up and it wasn't really changed on the gauge. So that's why when I was telling Eddie that I think we have an issue with my gauge.
I'm certain that.
And the gauge that I have, don't get me wrong, they're a good company, but they've been known to go bad in the
Well,
past.
dude, it's like any
Yeah,
manufacturers.
yeah.
Things go wrong. Toyota had the throttle issue.
Yeah.
Bones
So
having issues. So yeah, it's probably just the gauge.
Are you're running like individual gauges instead of like a
Yeah,
cluster?
correct. Yeah, so I have the water temp one, the individual water temp one. I don't even need. I need to switch that out and make that an oil temp gauge because my Phytech unit has a water temp gauge built into it, so I already see that.
Yeah.
And I believe the Phytech one over the one that I have. So
For sure.
I'm gonna switch that one out for an oil temp and then get a new oil pressure gauge.
Yeah.
So
You got to go see Brad freaking rip some laps on Friday night.
Yeah, so-
he's not too shabby.
yeah, I'm
kinda
telling you
scared.
guys that
Kinda
car.
nervous.
I'm telling you guys that car changed Brad. It changed him.
So
He's
so
a
now that
changed man.
I'm back, I'll
He only beat me one time.
That's the only time we've gone up against each other. I won.
Supposedly he beat me because his lead lap was better, and that's because
I believe that.
my car was.
I believe that.
342.
What did you guys place this year in pro? And
Oh, I did terrible. I did terrible, but I didn't even run. I didn't run. I ran 2 or 3 events this year, and I actually still had a decent overall placing for not running like 50% of the events essentially.
Did you listen to the last podcast, Brad?
No, I can't find it.
Oh my goodness!
I can't find it because somebody doesn't know how to post it.
I put the link on, bro. It's on our podcast website.
You need. I actually remember what I did, and I can figure it out later, and so we can fix it the way you downloaded.
Yeah. I want to get it on.
It'll be correct.
Talk about your new car.
Okay, so yeah, it's terrible. What a piece of shit. So what we were saying, you were asking about blown motors, whatever. But the motors that I had before, I blew up 2 stock motors because I was essentially, I believe, it's because I was revving them too high. Then my next motor I blew up was because I was trying to be cheap, I guess, or like I thought it would be fine to just reuse the rod bolts, and they just let go. Like it just was not right, and so I believe that this bottom end that I have is built correctly. But one of the things that happened was that when I was in a big hurry before round 1 and put the whole car together, and I hooked up the vacuum lines backwards, and it was keeping the wastegates closed, which was going into overboost. And so it was making like 30 pounds of boost, like 30 to 40 pounds of boost, like it was nothing,
which is way too much. And it was going lean. So what was happening was, it wasn't even that it was too much boost, it was that when it went into overboost, the computer would cut fuel, and it would be like a lot of boost with no fuel. So it would be super lean for a second, and it was burning out the valves. So I destroyed this motor. Essentially.
Really?
Yeah.
The bottom end's completely fine,
the
right?
bottom end's totally fine.
And
so the top end,
ones you kept windowing blocks. It was 3 or 4 blocks you built.
And this one, there's like, it's so overbuilt for how much power I was making, and so for the RPM I was turning. For this one, that it was, the bottom end's perfect. It's the top end that has like burnt out valves, which still isn't that big a deal to fix.
For sale,
but it sounded okay. So the deal is that I'm parting out all the JZ stuff out of the IS300 because the JZ stuff is so generic.
I think you should just put the JZ stuff in the 240.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what I want to do.
Dude, I'm telling you, that would be the best thing ever. Is put all the JZ
just pull the LS
because
out of
Dylan's going to JZ stuff, so you may as well.
Oh yeah,
just
totally.
take a FD Pro 2,
FD
basically almost championship winning car, and switch it all up.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
There was
switching roles, so I don't know. I think that would just be the right thing to do.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so I'm parting out all the JZ stuff, and then
he's keeping it.
Yeah, and then the chassis I'm leaving together. It's $10,000, and it's like a full prepped chassis with the rear mount radiator. It comes with the water pump built in, the closed loop MR2 power steering, the like
suppression,
Figs engineering stuff, coilovers,
suppression,
fire suppression, seats, everything but the
motor. You guys don't
motor.
want a JZ. Trust me, stay away. Stay very clear of it.
Anyways, so whatever. I mean, whatever works for people, but really, all the JZ stuff's getting parted out, and
it works awesome. It worked great for you.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm ditching it. But anyways, yeah, I'm trying to talk here, and you're not. Manager. Well, yeah, because you probably cut him off every time he starts a thought. So that's probably why he says anyways, and ignores your conversation. But so I'm selling the chassis for $10,000. It's a fully prepped chassis. Really, all you need is a motor and a transmission, and of course a clutch, and then the motor harness and whatever gauges and stuff you want to put in it. But essentially it just needs an engine transmission package.
Are you going to sell the engine and transmission? Or no, you got the transmission. So you're going to sell the JZ separately then?
Yeah. I'm going to part out all the JZ stuff, like I said. Okay. Like, so there's all the JZ stuff is getting sold separately.
So do you think that the IS was holding you back as a driver?
I think that the inconsistencies I had in the IS were holding me back as a driver.
Okay.
I think
not
that
the actual.
I don't know if the actual because
chassis
like
itself
Ben
was
does
not-
pretty well.
Yeah.
But I just for some reason like the inconsistencies, the thing that was holding me back with this JZ setup, I think, was that I'm not a knowledgeable tuner engine guy.
You're like me.
And I'm not paying for, like, granted, like I have people that were helping me with it, but I'm not paying somebody like to really pay attention to the engine and make sure everything's done correctly. And so I'm kind of like fumbling my way through it. And so I think that's why I did this change, is because I knew that I could. It's a Thompson Motorsports 416 in this new car. Stroker LS3. It is tuned on it's like a chipped stock LS1 ECU.
LS3.
No, LS1 ECU.
No.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said. It's a chipped ECU.
Oh, gotcha.
It's the ECU.
Yeah,
so
the ECU.
Yeah, so it is very simple. It has like there's like nothing to it. It's really just make sure there's oil, make sure there's fuel, and make sure there's tires.
You're not doing anything.
And I'm not doing anything.
I will wrap it, right?
Yeah, so wrapping it, and then I've been debating. I think I'm going to go back to WiseFab because it did its best, on WiseFab. It had never been driven on the Part Shop Max stuff.
Oh, so when he got second in Pro 2, it was on WiseFab? Oh, I didn't know that.
So, and the WiseFab kit came with it. It just has a broken in half, I don't know if it's the right or left arm, I can't remember, but it has a broken in half arm that was welded back together.
Oh, you got I didn't know you got a full WiseFab.
Yeah, so I'm going to buy I'm not 100% on this yet, but what I think I'm going to do is buy another arm and then run it and see how I like it.
I feel like if you're going to do that, you should do it like now.
No, I'm going to.
Because that way you can have enough time to decide which kit you like better.
Well, the Part Shop Max kit, the steering stops, somehow when I snapped to angle pretty hard, apparently I bent it and it kept going. Then the rest of the day it kept going over center, and I kept locking out.
That's pretty Brad Davis thing.
Yeah, I break everything. I break everything.
Do they have
Brad?
Do they have their own steering stops in the?
Yeah, it's like built on the control arm, and there's like, and it's weird because it's like, it looks like it should be really strong, but somehow it looks like the welds got missed or something. I haven't looked at it really close, so I don't know. I just know that when I was driving it, and then I stopped and took a look at it, and it was like, oh, well, one of these are bent, so it was letting it go over center.
Yeah, but you have a spare WiseFab kit, right?
Yeah, it came with a WiseFab kit.
Yeah.
So
and the rear's WiseFab still? Or?
No, the rear is Part Shop. It was, I think it was like ISR was the rear before, because it came with a ton of ISR stuff too. So he just gave me everything that went along with the car. It came with a full set of extra long travel 2-way adjustable BC coilovers, plus 2 extra for the rear. Not totally sure why there's 2 extra for the rear, but that's cool. I mean, like, that's like probably $5,000 worth of coilovers right there, or whatever.
Like $5?
Yeah, $5.
Yeah. You add a little too many extra zeros in that.
Yeah, no, those BCs are like $3,000. I think it's like $3,000 for that set. I think I might be wrong, but I know the regular ones that I had that were 2-way adjustable, not long travel, were like about $2,000 for my IS300. So. Or $2,500. I don't know. Well, anyways, it doesn't really matter. But it came with a lot of extra parts, a BN body kit and a bunch of stuff. So it's cool. But I really like the power delivery. The crazy thing is, I was looking at this today, is that the wheelbase is 8 inches difference between the IS300 and the 240.
Yeah, it's way shorter.
So it's weird on transitions. Like I kept spinning out because it would just snap so quickly. And it's just getting used to the chassis.
8 inches?
It's 7.7 inches between the stock to stock.
Is what, 99?
No, 97, and then the IS300 is 105.1 or something. It's like 90.
Which is weird. You would think that'd be the opposite, that you would not spin out. Which is really strange.
It's shorter.
No, shorter is snappier. No, because if you think about it, like if you ever drifted, like screwed around and drifted like a truck, you can make the thing step out and then transition. You have so much time when it swings versus like a Miata, like will just snap spin. It'll snap spin. Yeah,
it'll grip more, is what I'm saying.
No,
I feel like my GTO I can't snap it because if my GTO is so long, it'll come around.
Yeah, but how much time? You have a lot of time. you have a lot of time for it to come around versus it's a snappier, like that car is super snappy because it's short.
Yeah.
It's like the Miatas, like they're that kind of twitchy and they're super snappy,
right?
Versus like something that's a long wheelbase is like very slow to rotate. And
It's like when James took his Miata out there, he spun out every single time.
Yeah,
because it was a lot different.
Yeah,
than
I guess
Mustang.
you would have more
super
time.
short. Yeah, so it's like a super short, snappy wheelbase, and the alignment's not exactly correct, and he set it up once and hasn't driven it, and so I got to drive it for the first time with that kit on it, and
he only drove it one time with the PBM kit.
No, he never drove it.
Oh, he never drove it with a PBM kit on it.
Never drove it.
Well,
so
that makes things interesting then.
Yeah, so it's just me trying to figure out. I'm talking to some people and trying to get it all worked out, like Joe Lynn and some people, and like just asking questions. And they all suggest I go with the Wise Fab. I probably will.
Stay away. I stay with the PBM. I don't know. I've read a lot of things about.
How can you have an opinion when you never drove?
He's never driven either.
I've read a lot of things and seen a lot of things, and a lot of people say that the PBM kit is a lot better. Just for as far as geometry wise, you can add a sway bar with the PBM kit.
You can add a sway bar on either.
Oh, I guess you can now with the Wise Fab.
No, one is a first generation Wise Fab kit, and you can add it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just
there you go. You don't know.
From what I read. I don't know. So somebody I really look up to is Chelsea. He's pretty smart with like the suspension stuff, and he is so against the Wise Fab, which I'm not. But from what he said, all the things that he's pointed out and stuff, I feel like are pretty legit statements. So I think that what he's saying is fairly true, because I ended up looking up some of the stuff that he said about the Wise Fab stuff and was pretty, I don't know, logistic or legit, I should say, not logistic, but I don't know. I guess do what you like as far as going to the Wise, but
yeah, I think it all comes down.
Do you like the rear suspension setup?
Yeah, so far. I mean, like I haven't. I haven't really got to drive it that much to like make adjustments. I just drove it just to feel it out and like do some shakedown, and I wanted to just feel what it felt like, and I want to adjust the way the seat is, and I found some things that I just need to kind of fix up a little bit, but like I'm gonna work with some people to get like the suspension dialed in, and I think I'll like it. It's kind of one of those things that also, it's just like anything else. If you don't know any better, then it probably feel good. Like you'll be happy with it, and then you might be like, oh, there's something way better out there. I'm sure there are always. One of the big things I'm doing with this year is trying not to chase like advantages. Right. I'm just trying to have a consistent driving car.
Right.
And the whole Wise Fab Part Shop Max is because I have the kit sitting there,
right? And
that's just a debate. But once I like,
if you could dial one to the other end, then you'll be good.
Yeah, exactly. I think if I didn't have the Wise Fab, I'd be totally fine. Just like making sure that the PBM kit's totally fine.
Right.
But right now, I'm just kind of debating what I drive, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean,
Sorry, what kit do you have on your car? Do you have the David Adelku Special or Steve Miles or what?
Yeah, Wise Fab V8.
V8, okay. Yeah, Wise Fab V8.
Yeah.
And then you have the Cleveland Windsor Alfa Romeo 76.
Steamer. Cleveland Steamer.
Steamer.
V6.8.
74.
Did you end up going with the quick change?
No, so I do want to do a quick change. I didn't do it this year. I'm not going to do it for this next season. It'll be cool because it'll be a solid axle.
I still don't understand why you just didn't swap your car.
Oh my god. Anyways, as far as front suspension, to answer your question, David's kit, I helped him back in the day. He basically designed the entire thing, and I helped him basically draw it out on the computer. So I used CAD, draw it out on the computer. We drew out the monoball cups that we have, drew out the arms themselves, and then drew out the top plates that go on the arms.
Right.
Did all that. I like it. I need a little bit more angle out of it, so I actually can drop my steering stops down a little bit. I have them extended as far as possible right now, but knowing that they're not hitting the frame roll, I can kind of bump them out a little bit more, get a little bit more angle out of it.
So what's different about this angle kit, or I should say, what's different about the car now than running it last, like, or 2 years ago, I guess it'd be. You get to run it last year.
Everything.
Really?
Yeah. So
the grip level.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I've had 8, 10. I've had like 12 laps in it, if that. Probably less.
Just shredding belts like faster than you're shredding tires.
Yeah, we talked about it last podcast. The first day out with it was 4 laps and 3 belts. second day out was no belts, but it was 3 laps, and last weekend, yesterday, was 4 laps. So
no shredding belts though.
Correct, no shredded belts. That issue's fixed.
You're moving in the right direction. Then.
Yeah, that issue's fixed.
Why'd you only do 4 laps
this weekend?
Yeah,
just because I was a little worried about how the fuel or the oil pressure was regulating on my gauge. I think we have a bad gauge, and then my temp started getting up there. I got up to like 240, almost 250.
What are you gonna do to fix that?
I need to figure that out. I just redid that whole fan setup. I did 2 new fans instead of the stock fan, and then I have a pusher fan. So make sure everything's right. Make sure the fans are going the right direction. I think my fan shroud, I know they have enough CFM because it was almost identical to what the stock fan was. But yeah, I just need to dig into it more. That's the whole reason why I'm going out for these practice days. You know, even if I'm not getting the whole day, I'm getting the data and the information that I need to go back and figure it out, you know, for the next day out. So dig into it. I also don't have there's no water wetter in there. It's just water. So I mean, it's probably not going to help a lot.
You can run coolant at Evergreen. Why don't you?
Yeah, we can.
Why don't you?
Just never have.
Yeah, I run coolant unless I feel like the coolant is supposedly, from what I was reading online, it does help a lot more.
Is this the same place that you read that WiseFab isn't very good and like all this other stuff?
WiseFab might be better now, but that's just
Eddie.
That was like 3 years
Eddie, let
ago.
me tell you a quote. Okay, ready?
Yeah, tell me.
Not everything you read on the internet is true.
Well,
quoted by Abraham Lincoln.
I don't read one quote. I don't read one source. I usually will read multiple sources because, obviously what you read on the internet is not right. So I usually read multiple sources before I come to a conclusion. So that's why I was saying that the WiseFab wasn't nearly as good, but it might be better now because that was like 2 or 3 years ago since I read that.
So as far as the antifreeze and the coolant, we just got this stuff into J2 that we run in the circle track cars. It's called Water Cooler. It's basically water wetter.
Is that a Bardol product?
It's not, unfortunately.
It's not. That's not the cooler because they have a product named the same thing. Oh, is it Quick Cool?
So it's a big jug. I mean, gallon
jugs.
jugs. It's basically just like water wetter, but in a gallon jug.
Oh, sweet.
So I'm gonna try that next. I think. Okay. I don't. But the issue, I mean, it's not gonna save me that much. With the fact that I was at 240, almost 250 is too high. Yeah. It has nothing to do with. Are you
sure that
you need a bigger radiator?
That was going off the FiTech, right?
That's going off the FiTech. Yeah. So I know that gauge is 100% right. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, just gotta mess with it. Make sure I should make sure my fans are going the right way.
Well, you got a few months, man. Like
I know. That's
we're gonna wake up tomorrow. It's gonna be round.
Well, I know, and that's why I'm going out there testing it, making sure it's good. Yeah, going back, fixing stuff, get back out there, and then I'll finally work up to a time where I'll have a full day of drifting and be able to get all that data and go from there and actually be able to mess with tires. So the tires that I had on there were good tires. They were brand new Falcons, not 615s, but just some all season Falcons. Yeah. So 255s. Down to 15
just
psi.
Like lighting them off like nothing, right?
Yeah, I know I can get more grip if I go to I think the 265 triangles will be good, but I don't know. I mean, you run yours at like 18, don't you?
Yeah, 18.
I was running mine at 18, and I felt like I could find more grip, but I can't. I have tried to run lower. I think 15 is the lowest I can go without debeating.
Yeah.
Depends on your wheel size too.
It also, and the wheels that came with my car, the Cosmos, are like 10 inches wide.
Yeah, it's pretty wide.
They're wide, and so I don't know if, but on the other hand, they the way the barrel's shaped and everything, they're pretty difficult to get on and off. So
Oh,
like
really?
mounting and dismounting.
Mounting,
So
yeah.
I was just looking at Cosmos wheels today for the Mustang because
Oh,
there's
really?
some that are really sick.
Yeah.
That look so good on there.
Yeah.
And I think I want to go that route next season. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
they look good.
I'd also like to run like a Falcon, like a gnarly comp tire, but I'm unfortunately
expensive.
am not a baller and can do
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I think the triangles would be good. I love the triangles. I've never had any issues with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've ran them since you started getting on with them, and
We'll try to get them to make the TR967, which I've been
Yeah.
like ranting and raving about. That's the tire. Like if they can make that tire, like with the 265, I think everybody at Evergreen would like it.
Yeah.
It's just like they're having issues right now with the tariffs and all that. So it's just they're not in. They don't have the budget to do make that tire size that we need in that tire. So
yeah. Well, I wish we could. You know what I wish we could do is, like I've told you this before, is bring a lot into J2 and sell them out of there. But there's
that'd be
some issues with that.
yeah, they actually have a distributor that's probably coming into the Northwest. It's going to be out in like Tequila. So they're supposedly. Well, me and Brad were there at SEMA. We didn't talk about SEMA yet, but
Yeah, you should
we were
start
there.
talking about that.
Yeah, we were there a few weeks ago, and they're working on a deal with Wheelmart, which is based out of Seattle.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get that deal closed down or sealed up so that we can just get tires straight out of there.
I used to work with Wilmart back when I.
Oh, did you really?
When I worked at Les Schwab.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they were one of our distributors.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so they're trying to supposedly the deal is pretty solid. So once we get that deal done, then people can get tires based out of the Northwest. But what I'd like to do eventually is just have them online, so people just order them online. Because right now, like I was telling them, I was like, hey guys, you guys have a huge opportunity here. But it's just that you can't get them. Like I can't get the 967. I was looking for a 245 4018 because I blew it out at round 4 on the wall when I hit the wall. I couldn't even find a TR967 anywhere online, and so I was just trying to kind of push for them to try to get that tire manufactured, get it in more available sizes. But right now we're just kind of limited just because of the tariffs. So, but we'll see. I mean, we got a new a presidential election coming up here in 2021 or 2020. So we'll see what happens with that. But
So how was SEMA, you guys? Let's hear about SEMA.
SEMA was legit.
Unfortunately, I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
maybe next year.
It was legit. Me
It
and
was a
Brad
good
did a shit ton of walking. Like we were.
I think I did 10 miles every day.
Yeah, I was probably on par with that.
Yeah, I Ubered everywhere too, and I still walked 10 miles.
Yeah, it was brutal. Like
We stayed pretty close to the convention center.
Their convention
So
center, yeah.
it was cool because we didn't there was a few times where I was like, when the show gets out, you end up with just like you're either gonna wait an hour to get back to your hotel, or
Yeah.
you can walk,
Yeah.
or take the
monorail.
the monorail. The monorail's pretty rad. I did the worst thing ever. Is I ended up staying at like 3 different hotels.
Yeah, tell us about the first night.
Well, the first night was
perfect.
absolutely awful. So I found what you do is when you go to a hotel where it's extremely packed, and it's 1 a.m, and you go to check in.
Yeah.
And so I stopped at Planet 13, which is a pretty rad dispensary.
Yeah.
And then I decided to eat an edible in the Uber.
Just soothe you a little bit.
Yeah,
Kinda,
well, I was like, well, it's going to be an hour. It's going to be an hour before it kicks in. It's already late. I just want to get in there and just feel it and then
Just a
fall
little
asleep.
Relaxation, right? Yeah.
Well, about halfway through the line, that was over an hour, I was high as F. I was so stoned, and I was just like,
podcast, by the way.
yeah, well, I'm
not
trying to be
regulated by
nice,
it.
and
We're not regulated.
yeah,
By
the FCC.
the FCC.
But no, I was high as fuck, and so about halfway through the line, so it took me an hour. It took me another half an hour to be able to get
focus.
to focus and talk to the lady to get my key, and I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. But
I think function.
no, well, I'm kind of a pro now, so. But yeah, so I just went, and then I went to bed, and then I got up the next morning, went to the SEMA thing, but then I came back, and then I stayed with Eddie the next day.
Yep.
And so I got my stuff, and then I went to the place that we stayed at, or that you stayed at, and I stayed with you nicely.
Fanciest hotel in Vegas.
Yeah, and then my girlfriend came out the Thursday night, and then we stayed at the Flamingo, and that was a good spot. That was,
I want to be there. It was nice.
Super cool. Yeah, it was clean. It was nice. It was a super nice hotel.
Yeah, I was thinking about going there next year. I don't know. We'll see. I was looking at there, or the Platinum, I think is what the other one called.
Yeah, I also have like my my timeshare that I booked too late this year that I'll probably book for next year. I think I'm just going to, because I saved, quote unquote, saved the points from not being able to book it, that I think I'm going to book like two bedrooms, and then people that are, because I always seem to know a bunch of people that go that are all broke asses, so I figured I would just like book them, and then like my friends can just come and stay, and it's right next to the Top Golf.
I'll be there.
Yeah, you guys.
Next to Top Golf.
It's right next to Top Golf,
dude,
and we can, and you can walk a couple minutes, like it's like a couple minute walk over to the MGM for the monorail.
Yeah, let's talk about Top Golf. So there were some Instagram stories. Okay, so
I got a better swing than Brad,
I saw Eddie swing, and I saw Brad swing, and you know I'm a golfer. I golf every week during the summer. I'm in a golf league. I can tell everybody on this podcast with 100% accuracy
Eddie has a better swing than Brad.
That Brad is a golfer, and he has an absolutely beautiful swing.
I used to play baseball, bro. Come on.
I know. That's what I dealt with when I first started, playing golf. But,
yeah, I don't understand. I actually really like golfing. I can't. At least I hit almost all the balls I hit were pretty.
Did you ever swing and miss?
No. I hit every single ball.
That's not bad then. It's not bad.
But all the balls I hit would always either go
left or right.
Right.
Yeah. Go right. Slice it.
I would always slice it.
Yeah.
So I've never been able to use a driver, and for the longest time I've wanted to figure out how to use a driver. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Next year when we're at SEMA, I'll help you out.
I would love that.
I'll get behind you, and I will grab your hands.
Yeah,
and we will do some magic.
I don't want you to grab my hands because you chew your nails and your fingers are like gross.
Shut up.
I don't really want your saliva on my fingers.
So did you talk to any potential sponsors or anything? While you're
I talked to a few people. Yeah, I talked to. We got a chance to talk to GK. Let's see, Bride Seats. So the guy's name is Nick, and he is a distributor for Ineos, Redline, and Motul. There's another one. Oh, and Torco. And so he actually got him set up with John. So John's going to be holding that stuff there at J2.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they got an account set up. So if anybody needs some oil, any of those oils, really good oils.
Also Bardolph's at J2.
Yeah, Bardolph's also at J2. So
I just talked to them the other night. David's not there anymore. The main sales rep guy, David, I forgot his last name, but he was their main guy that we'd always talk to, and supposedly hasn't been working there for like 3 months. So we got a new contact. I have a card. I forgot her name, but she's the new lady that we'll be talking to. So
yeah, me and Brad, the first night? No, it was Wednesday night. I got sick. I got like a sore throat Sunday night before SEMA, and I left on Tuesday night, and I went down, and I started coming down with just a little cold, and I was like, damn, that sucks. But I ended up fighting through it, and me and Brad on the first night I was there, which was Wednesday night, we ended up going to SEMA. We hung out all day, came back, and we ended up going to, where did we go? Oh, we went to the dinner for Triangle.
That was a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time there, and then we didn't know what we were going to do after that, so we ended up being with Mike with Figs, hung out there.
Yeah, Figs Engineering.
And we ended up staying there the whole night, and that was awesome. Like, we were just at what was that? The casino called right across from MGM. Tropicana. We were at Tropicana for a little while and hung out there.
You guys don't gamble, right? Neither
no,
you.
No, I don't gamble.
No,
I only gamble with my life.
Yeah.
So
I only gamble with my life.
You guys didn't gamble. You guys didn't gamble
cars.
Once. Nothing at all.
No, I didn't even go to a strip club. Wow. Normally I go it gets pretty crazy, but this time was pretty chill. Wow. I mean, like, my first night I went to a Bardolph function. It was pretty cool.
Bardolph, yeah.
Every year they do like a Tuesday night thing.
Was it out there?
Oh yeah,
nice.
He's funny.
Yeah, he's an awesome
Such
guy.
a funny guy.
Yeah.
Tori, why don't you drive the S197? Why don't you put all your engine package into that car? It's a way newer car.
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to drive that car with an angle kit and see how it actually is.
It has an angle kit.
It does not.
It's super. It's got a great angle. It makes you spin. Again, it makes you spin all the time.
Yeah,
It's got a great
if you go
angle.
back and look at all the videos pictures posted by all the, photographers this year during pro-am, you'll
Great
see how
angle,
much
bro.
angle I have.
Great angle.
I have cut knuckles on that thing, and that's it.
I got an idea. You can put a Brad's JZ in the S197.
Oh,
That thing
there you
will
go.
Rip.
Lord.
Rip
That
hard.
thing will rip.
Though I got my my E46
Yeah.
and Broad Strokes is doing
Broad Stroke?
is
What are they
doing.
kind of- what are they-
They're a BMW Mini Cooper shop
Peter.
in Snohomish.
Peter.
Um,
Peter.
Peter?
His name?
Peter Pan?
Your buddy that owns it.
no, it's Parker.
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 That's
Yeah,
close.
my buddy
I thought
Parker.
it was Peter.
No, my buddy Parker owns it, and he's working with me this year for it. I wanted to have like his rental car logos on the back of it because I think it'd be hilarious. But yeah, he's just for some reason had some like weird misfiring issues and a few issues. So they're fixing it up, and then so I'll be driving it here pretty soon. It'll just be my missile car.
What? 326?
It's a 328i.
Oh, 328.
It's a 4-door. It has like M bumpers on it and stuff. And this has a funny story behind the motor. So it was my cousin's, not my cousin Will that's helped me out, but our other cousin Tommy had it, and he put a bunch of miles on it, and then the motor seized, and BMW warrantied it, and so the motor has like less than 10,000 miles on it.
Oh, really?
So it's like a brand new motor in this thing. And so I'm going to drive it the way it is, and then I'm going to end up putting, I think I'm going to end up putting, depending on, I think I might put nitrous in it, and just to give it like a little extra power to drift the bank and stuff, because with like
a 50 shot or something?
yeah, make it like around, make it like 250 to 300 horse, so it has some power. Because it just, I'm sure even with like a pretty fresh motor, it still doesn't make that much power, and then it's kind of heavy and stuff. But I'm trying to make it like a cool street car, so like real low. I'm gonna end up putting a half cage in it. It's green with tan interior. I'm gonna paint the cage tan too, and then get a tan. I'm trying to find a tan race seat for it, and so it's just like super street car.
That's gonna be tough. You have to put like a seat cover on it or something.
Have Northwest Crafted make you one.
Northwest Crafted? Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I'll find something. I think I might just find it. Like I might find a used seat, like a regular race seat, and then see if I could get like a cover made for it or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Tori can make a cover. He can make everything. He's got beard. He can do it with his beard. His cover is tan, and he can just make it with his beard.
But
problem.
but yeah. So I want to make it like super street car looking, and
Tell us about your battles with Alex Lindsay. We kind of brought it up last week, and you were like, he beat
God.
you or something like that?
yeah. I mean,
You lost to like the slowest car in Pro-Am.
We talked about it. I said, Alex, I love you, but how the fuck do you drive 25 miles per hour on the 5.8s? That's what I said.
it's because it's in the rain. I mean, that car doesn't make 200 horse.
Bro,
It
in
makes
case
like 300 and some horse.
In case you weren't
And
catching
it's-
on, we're just trying to start some controversy here.
No, that's fine. Alex is a good driver. He drives a lot. He has a consistent car that he drives a lot,
Yeah.
and it's pretty well set up.
That's
and as
kinda
far
how
as
I
I can tell, he doesn't really change much on it. He just drives it,
Yeah.
and he does a good job. I mean, I like Alex. He's a nice guy.
We all do.
He's funny, and like I message with him every once in a while or whatever. And he seems like his fabrication's pretty good. Like he was showing like some stuff on Instagram. I've like followed him on Instagram, and his stuff looks good. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he does this next year. I'm curious if he's going to get like a
I thought he bought like a Jay-Z.
Looks like he's building. Yeah, he said he has like
He's got another
1J or
S14 with the Jay-Z, and he's got a dog box. I think he bought a dog box from.
Yeah, so it'll be
Joe or
cool
something
to
like
see what he does this next year and driving with them and
Who do you guys think will be the top 3 for Pro-Am
Next year, me.
me. You're not gonna drive. You're not gonna drive.
I'll do 3 rounds. I'll do everything except the 5/8. So I'll do 3 rounds.
So you
So I'll get
won't
top
be
3
you.
in 3 rounds.
I think I will be. I think I'll be on the podium. Probably a couple
Let's
times.
see. It depends who's driving. I don't know.
Riseki.
I think Urseki will do good.
We'll see if he even drives. I feel like he's getting kind of tired of. He even made a post about it, saying that he was, he loves the lifestyle stuff, but then he
He'll drive.
also likes the comp, and he's just kind of like to the point. He just needed an event, so. I love Matt. He's an awesome driver.
guy.
Yeah,
Awesome
awesome guy,
driver.
awesome driver. I think he's just frustrated because he put his car into the wall and he didn't his results weren't as good as he wanted them to be this year. So it was kind of one of those things where he was just kind of venting, and that's how I felt the last 2 years. But I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and like, you know what? Like it's just time to switch chassis.
Well, I think a lot, like you and I, Eddie, I think are on the same page, and I think some other people might be too, is that you can only do the same thing over and over again until you just get tired of it. And I hit a point at the last pro event that I was like, I'm either going to, one, just quit competing because this isn't fun to, like, for me at least, to show up, work on your car most of the time and be frustrated with the car, not show results.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, Eddie, you weren't really working on your car, but it wasn't really showing the results you wanted. And so you just kind of get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm either going to change what I'm doing, or like one way or the other, change what you're doing. Like change what you're driving, or change like the event you're driving.
Right.
And it's like, and so that's where it led me to buying the car I have. Is that
you were talking about rewiring the whole chassis and like doing the whole thing all over again.
Yeah, and then I look at the car and I think about everything I've done over the years, and literally I put so much money every year into it that like I just look at the car and I'm like, do I want to put this much more money into this car?
Yeah.
And it just like, it made me kind of sad, but I was like, no, I don't want to touch this thing anymore. Like it makes me, I just get irritated, even though I know the chassis pretty well. I understand, but I just got to a point I just didn't want it anymore.
That's how I feel. Yeah, like with the GTO, like the car is awesome. It runs awesome. It sounds good and everything. And then like, it's just like when you drive it, you're just like I was driving it home after round 5 and I drove it from Toys at my house. And it's like, you turn right, the steering is super easy. You turn left, it's like you're trying to turn without no power steering. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, and then that's kind of like what sold me. Like, you know what? I just do not want to sell this car the way it is. Like, I just don't want somebody else to have to deal with this crap.
Hey, you want to sell me your power steering, Bob? Or are you keeping it?
The MR2 one?
Yeah.
It's staying with the car.
Oh, poopy. Sure you want to sell it?
I mean, like, I'll sell it to you for what any other one people would sell for you too.
Yeah, but it'd be easier to get it from you than from anywhere else.
Yeah, you can get it off of. I make on eBay. There's a million of them.
Aren't they like, how much are they? Like $250?
Dude, yeah, they're like
what's up with Ben?
$350. Yeah, they're expensive.
What's he doing tonight? Why didn't he want to come out?
I think he just needed to do some family
he lives in
stuff.
Canada or something?
Yeah,
No, he was masturbating with sandpaper.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I
Feverishly.
remember him mentioning that. Something about sandpaper.
No, where is he?
I think he just needs to spend some time with his family.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he needed to hang out with Michelle Lady or something, whatever.
He wrote on Facebook that he raced a stock 350Z in his SS.
He did?
Yeah, he lost.
And he lost?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, he said he won, but Chevy problems, probably lost.
Well, Ford, I mean, you got, like we were saying last week, Eddie,
you can't make fun of Ford stuff. You have one. That doesn't work.
Now that I've had an LS, man, Ford.
Oh my god.
Ford can poop a dupe. I like my LS stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll all have like
everybody's gonna have an LS swap something here pretty soon.
It's like
Tori, give it
all
another
Chevy
year.
powered.
Give it another year before Tori has shredding belts or having oil pressure problems. He's gonna finally convert. He's gonna become a man, and we're gonna make fun of him because he was talking shit about LS stuff. right? Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, look at, even Brad was talking about, he was like, I'm going to do this Jay-Z, because he even considered before the season started, he was going to do
I have hit every year at the end of the year, I've been like, maybe I should switch to a LS in this thing. And like my friends give me so much shit now because I'm like driving an LS powered car, and they're like, "Oh, we told you you should have put an LS in your car like a long time ago."
Yeah, it's just been a long time coming because Brad hit me up before the season even started. He was talking about doing a 5.3 LS swap in his IS, and I couldn't help but laugh because I was like, "Is he finally gonna get out of the thing?" But honestly, I feel like the only thing it was, I feel like the thing was he was just over revving that Jay-Z, and I told him, I was like, okay, dude, if you're gonna build this Jay-Z this time, you have to turn the rev down. And sure enough, he did. And the bottom end is completely fine. It's just the head needs a little bit of attention.
Yeah, it was just our bad with the way we set up the car. Like we hooked everything backwards and. It kind of screwed it up. It screwed it up because it was going lean. It was going full boost at like 30 plus pounds of boost, and then it was cutting all fuel.
Gotcha.
And so it was just burning out valves. It was too bad.
Yeah.
And it was like, arguably I could have just redone the head, put it all back together, and maybe it would have ran fine. But I almost got to a point where I felt like I was just willing the car to be fucked up.
Yeah.
Like it's just like every time I turned around there was something,
right?
And so I kept telling myself for the last several years that I'm like, okay, every chassis needs development, and like building a car, it takes a while, but when you just get frustrated and tired of,
well, that's how I was in the same boat, like exactly what you're saying, like it's exactly how I felt because I switched from a Mustang into the GTO, and I was like, I just need to give it some time. If the 240 guys can make the rear steer rack work, I just need to give it some time. But the problem is there wasn't much development with the GTO, and so I was like, okay, maybe I just need to figure it out. And I went from like winning all the time my first year to like not winning at all, except for Team Tandem. And I knew I was a way more capable driver, and so like when I just finally came to the conclusion, I was just like, you know what? I just need to get back into a car I'm comfortable with. Like, I could never see well out of the GTO. I could never see the right from fender. I couldn't tell how close I was to people. I could never tell how far the rear corner was on the rear. And
you were driving a boat. You just need to stay in the middle of the track and you'll be like on the outers.
Yeah, exactly. So like I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I just need to get back into a car that I'm super familiar with. Like, and comfortable with, like the steering, and like when you're drifting, steering is everything. And so like I just came to the conclusion, like I'm just gonna get back into a Mustang. It's a front steer car. I know the car. There's parts readily available for it.
You should really get into a 240.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a rear steer car. So yeah, perfect, great. Yeah, go from a GTO that's rear steer to a 240.
But at least it has aftermarket support.
And so does a Mustang.
Mm-hmm. Not as much as the 240. Not for drifting as much as the 240.
Chelsea Nova won Texas, so it's.
Yeah, but that's completely different.
Nah.
That car is on a whole nother level.
How many 240s won the podium this year in FD?
I don't know.
None.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I guess
Odie. I mean, like Odie.
Third in the championship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I'm not.
Let's forget about him.
Yeah. I'll forget about Odie. I mean, like he's probably one of the best drivers in FD, and he drives
the worst
a piece of shit 240.
We were talking about having Kevin back on the clock.
But that'd be cool. But having a low budget, like a 240 is a good car.
Yeah.
Like, granted, they're getting expensive to buy, but you can buy so many different level kits.
Yeah, like they're old cars.
So is a freaking Mustang.
Nah.
So is your 2001 Mustang.
Yeah.
It's
2000, bro.
Oh, it's even older.
Yeah.
The funny thing was I was giving Dylan crap because I was like, this car's older than you. And he's like, yeah, it is. Because it was a 91 and he's like 25.
Yeah.
he's like 25 or something. It's like, this is older than you. He's like, yeah, it is.
When's your guys' next event? When are you driving next city?
December 7th. I'm going to drive the new Mustang. I'm excited, man. It's a feel like when I drove James's Mustang, when it had a 351 in it, I was like, oh, so this is what the car's supposed to be like. It's supposed to steer like this. And then I was like, then I had to go back to my GTO. I was like, I was so depressed. So yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. What about you, Brad?
I don't know yet. The 7th and 8th, I'm going down to California. I was supposed to be visiting my grandfather, but he's since passed, and so I'm taking my son to Legoland, which will be fun.
Are you driving or flying?
No, we're flying. Didn't pay attention when I bought the tickets, and they were like the saver tickets, so they're non-refundable, non-changeable. So it was either like a ditch, like hundreds of dollars worth of tickets, or just do it anyway. So I'm gonna try and do either like Park or Spirit Peaks or something.
We're gonna have we got some news to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it now because we're gonna have him on the podcast next time. But Brandon's from Takeover Northwest is gonna come on the podcast, so he'll be talking about that event. Brandon Marcus.
Never heard of her.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know what she is either. But
she's either a really ugly woman or a pretty decent looking man.
We'll find out.
One or the other.
It's gonna be interesting, but we'll find out what it is. Tori, when are you gonna drive next? Are you gonna ever LS swap that 351 stroker?
No, I'm not. I will.
I hope he doesn't LS swap the stroker 351 stroker. Maybe the Mustang, but probably not the stroker. That'd be weird. I'd be curious if a crank, like an LS crank, could fit in that thing. I don't think so. But
he's gonna stroke that 351 stroke.
I will be driving. Is the 7th the
Saturday?
Yeah. Is it the teaching day? Yeah, I'll be driving that day because I'll just.
Are you guys going to? Are you guys going to the banquet?
Possibly. I think that John's going to make me go because I have to hand out the awards for J2.
That's right. Are you gonna wear a dress?
Nope. No.
Do your makeup, wear a dress?
Nope, not this year.
Not this year. You did last year. You looked really pretty.
Yep.
You looked really pretty.
Last year I did.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
The sequins on it were just like on point.
So yeah, I'll drive on the 7th and try to figure out the heating issue and hopefully have a new oil pressure gauge in there so I can make sure that's correct. I'd like to use. I don't know if it's an option, but I don't know if the Phytech has an oil pressure option. I can go back tonight and take a look, but I'd rather just do that. But I don't remember there being an extra plug on the harness for that.
So. When is the banquet?
It's like in the middle of January.
It's at the end.
Yeah,
should be usually it's the last Saturday.
Last year was like the 17th, I think. What Ben's got a question for you, Bradford. So does Austin Wasman.
What's up?
Ben wants to know if you learned anything about. Ask him if he learned how to put it high on the bank, or if he just burned worms all Saturday.
No, I actually figured out that. So, what I figured out was my timing was a little different, and talking to Chase Schmidt, I figured out some different initiations that made me feel more comfortable. Historically, I have not been very into doing clutch kicks because I always feel like I overcook it. So I like not to give away my secrets too much, and Chase's secrets too much. But I figured out being able to clutch kick and being able to run a higher line. And I like clutch kick early, and then I can settle the car where it needs to be and be able to run it, and I don't get on throttle as hard. So what I was doing was I was coming in and hand braking and then getting on throttle really hard, which for a turbo car is great because it takes a second to like really light it off, and so it actually just feathers itself in.
Yeah.
Versus like the V8 car has so much torque just right now that when you flick it in on a handbrake and then get on throttle really hard, it just has so much power and grip all at once. It just pushes you down the bank.
Yeah, and you're right to angle. So one thing I was going to ask you, because I'm new to the whole G-Force, 4-speed dog box, and are you on the 3/8? Are you in 4th gear?
It all has to do with my final drive gearing.
Well, yes.
In my IS300, same transmission.
The reason
my IS300, I was in 3rd gear, and I had a 410 or 4.3. But in my new car, I'm running a 4.8
Oh,
and I start
okay.
in second gear and I drift
So-
the bank in fourth.
The other day, I asked Brad this question in our group chat, and the other day, when I asked you, I thought for some reason that you had somewhere closer to what I have, which is a 410. That's why I was asking you what you run on the bank. So you're saying the IS had a 410, and you would be in third?
I've been third.
Okay, so because for the first few laps that I've done on the 3.8s, I've been in third, and I was kind of curious what other people with the same gear ratio are. So.
You could try fourth, but I don't think. I mean, you have torque and stuff. Like it might work, but it's going to be a lot of wheel speed.
Yeah, I don't doubt that I wouldn't be able to do it. I just don't think I have enough grip to do it.
Yeah.
So
I tried to burn out all the way up, so like I ended up having too high a tire pressure because I just was having a good time. I wasn't going into the pits and like checking my tire pressure, and so I like from start grab second, third, fourth, and every shift the car's burning out, and I flick it into the to the bank, and I'm on throttle, and I'm on too much throttle, and it's like the first time in probably like so many years that I looped out on the bank. Aaron Rand hit me.
Oh yeah.
He accidentally hit me. He was on like a tight line and came up on me really fast, and he like fucked up my back bumper. And
you
like
love Mustangs, don't you?
He
love Mustangs.
Yeah, he hit me. I was like, I can't believe it.
The back bumper was up. Oh, just the top of it.
He hit, because it's cut. He like hit the back bumper, and there's like this fascia that's a part of kind of part of the bumper or whatever, that goes between the tail lights, and it goes along the bottom because it's a coupe. Gotcha. And so it fucked all that up.
So you ready for this? So he actually told me, he's like, yeah, I hit Brad on an accident, but I really thought that he would have just pulled away from me.
Well, that's funny because I was like, I'm like still trying to figure out that car,
and it's like it was your first full day at drifting.
Yeah. I was this is so bad. I was like, I felt bad for Chase because we came off the bank. Chase was following me, so we were going back and forth. Chase Schmidt, he's such an awesome driver, and he's so fun. And your fly's undone. And so,
dude, this is a podcast.
That's a pee-pee.
This is a family program.
No, it's not family,
dude. If you're pulling that thing out, grab the tweezers.
So anyways, he's such an awesome driver. I love driving with him. He's such a nice guy, and he's giving me some advice and stuff. But anyways, so he the first time, I think it was the first time he chased me, he had a lot of trust in me. He was on my door. We came off the bank, and I'm on throttle, and I was trying to feel out the car, and I over rotated coming off the bank. And I look to my right, and I see him, not his car. I see him.
He's right there,
and he's right there. He is mirror to mirror with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh crap! And so I loop out. I drive into the where no man's land, under the bank, and he tries to spin out with me. And fortunately, we didn't hit each other. But then we just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it was great.
He probably thought you were Dylan.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he thought.
No, he was I talked to him after that, and I was like, holy crap, I can't believe you were right there. And he's like, I felt so bad. They smiled. He's like, dude, don't even worry about it. He's like, I know it's your first time in the car. He's like, but the first, I watched you drive, and so he's like, I watched you take a couple laps. And he's like, I just put it on your door because I trusted that you were driving really well. And he's like, you looked really good. You look really good in that car.
How bad would you have felt if you spun out and he just smashed into you with his $2,000 front bumper?
I wouldn't feel that. I'd feel more bad about my car. Fuck that guy.
What were you saying? I kind of missed the part where you were saying you couldn't time the feint initiation into the bank. What?
You missed it. European.
European.
Come on, dude. We already talked about this.
No, so I was having a hard time. Aaron followed me at one point, and I tried essentially a double clutch kick, big feint initiation, and I mistimed the second one, and I was fucking skidding across the bank, and then I I grabbed a bunch of handbrake, and then got it going again, and so I was messing around but I talked to Chase for a little bit, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm trying to do, and he suggested a certain I'll just say he suggested doing a big don't really feint initiation, but clutch kick early,
yeah,
and then grab and then just give it the most. If you don't feel like you're on the right line, give the tiniest snap of handbrake to like set your line, and then just go. And I was like, wow, that was a really fast initiation, and it felt really great. The first night, Friday night, the first time driving the car, I'm like doing handbrake initiation. I'm like, oh, this feels good, whatever. And I was like, all right, I'm going to clutch kick. So I come in and it's dark. I'm in a car I don't know, and I'm like 3/4 down the like 3/4 or more down the run up, and I clutch kick. And I'm just on throttle, and the car it was scary for a second. Like it made me. I'm not gonna lie, it made me scared for a second because I was like, I don't know this car, and I'm like on throttle really hard, and it was a fast initiation. And Ben suggested that when I grab fourth, I should essentially use it as a clutch kick. Yeah. And I'm working on all that. Like I'm just working on like trying to do a lot of new stuff with this new car, and the car is really like it's just getting the front. I truly believe that like the car feels good when you do those certain things. I'm not really trusting the way the front suspension is like really planted to the ground. I felt like the IS300 had a little bit on initiation the front felt a little more planted,
right? And
I think it's just because there's no development right now like on that front suspension. Right. Like there's just it was put on and it was and I just ran it, and so I'm curious to tweak it and maybe try the YSFAB and feel how that feels, and just like go and talk to some S chassis people that have like good luck with it and just mess with it,
right?
Because I'll get there. I mean, fortunately I have a lot of time before the next Pro-Am or the Pro-Am round. My goals for this year is to run 2 Pro-Am series. So hold on one second. My son keeps.
Tori, we got Austin Wasman wondering what's staying and what's going from what I saw at FD Irwindale. What do you think, bro?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Like I was like kind of stumped on that question. I'm not sure what he means. Like, are the driver staying?
Did he say anything to anybody? Did he just ask that in general?
You just ask him.
Read it exactly how he said it.
That's how I read it.
Read it one more time.
What's staying and what's going from what I saw at FD Irwindale?
He asked.
Well, I know that. I know what he saw. So he saw. He saw these people, and they were walking around, and they had their shirts off in the crowd.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that's going to go for next year.
Shit, good job.
Oh shit, my bad. That's all good. Beer spill.
I think he was asking about.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I know who he is, and he took pictures of my car at Irwindale, and it was funny because he took a picture of my car, and it was all wrapped in the like. What's that? The
3M?
AutoZone.
Yeah, is it AutoZone? Or no, it's not.
Really?
Yeah, it's AutoZone. Yeah, it's AutoZone. I'm spacing, but it was all wrapped in AutoZone. And so I think he was asking like if I'm making changes on the car and like what all was done, what all I'm doing. Good news is that Dylan and all those are just giving me all the sponsorships. They're just giving up on what they're doing. They're giving me all the sponsorship dollars and everything.
Dude, that's rad.
Because next year,
I heard that you actually signed on. You're actually with Huddy next year for this.
No, I'm actually with Tesla. They're giving me all those new trucks.
What?
So sick.
Dang,
so sick.
Bro,
they're just giving me like 3 of them, and I can drift them all I want. No, the car's staying pretty much the same. I mean, there's no. I pulled all the livery off. Actually, Dayton, his brother, Daytona,
he does the wrap.
Pulled all it off, and then I found out later that I thought that it was like a printed wrap, and it wasn't. It was like a layered wrap, and they're like, we could have left it all black, and I'm like, oh, I would have done that, but oh well, for now. But oh well, it is what it is. I don't mind that it looks a little Frankensteinish, but it's gonna get a wrap and stuff for next year.
Just your CVD company.
No, we're talking to some different partners that might title sponsor it, so we'll see what happens. But no, the car's gonna stay exactly the same, other than I had to put my G-force in it, and it might have been. You got to
cut a hole in the trans tunnel, didn't you?
Yeah, because I have from what I can tell, and Dylan might be able to tell me better, but I have a newer dog box than he does.
Right.
And it is like essentially taller. It's like skinny and tall.
Okay.
Well, did he have the
and-
side shift?
No, his was a center shift, but it was like for some reason the way the linkage came out of the transmission, that mine comes out higher, and so it has this like square box looking piece that sticks through the
That's what
tunnel.
mine has
So
too,
I had
yeah.
to cut the I had to cut a hole, and then Ben White is going to help me. I'm going to take it up to his house, and he's going to help me build like a cover, so everything's a little tighter, and there's not like. It's also a different hole, like shape of the hole that the trans comes out. So I'd like to kind of fill that up, and I think I'm going to get like a boot and
I had
stuff.
to do the same exact thing with
Yeah.
mine.
So
That's one thing, real quick, Eddie. That's one thing that so I've never drove a dog box before, and that was I'd say out of the whole build that I did with my car, that's my favorite part.
Your favorite.
Yeah,
It is absolutely ridiculous how smooth they shift.
What clutch do you have?
I have a quartermaster triple disc, so it's similar to
What
like the
size is
Titan.
that? It's 7 and a
It's,
quarter. Or
it's
something?
7 1/4, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. I feel like I could shift with one finger if I needed to.
Oh, really?
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
and it's so positive engagement.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like you can on a Manji, you can just grab it. Actually, I can be on throttle, and then like
You know,
still-
I'm
you
drifting,
still
and I
use the-
just like I use the clutch,
Yeah,
but I
you
can
still-
just
yeah.
really I can quickly like I can stay in drift on the bank and upshift.
Yeah.
If I need to, like
That's sick.
it's that positive quick engagement that's just bam right next gear.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
sick.
it feels amazing. Like that is
It's
my
ridiculous.
favorite
Yeah,
part
same
of
here.
my car.
Same here.
Like both cars or
Did
both
you,
cars.
sorry, you were having issues with downshifting into the S187, didn't you? Like,
Well, yeah, that's because I blew out the second gear synchro. So
you never fixed it.
no, I just start in second gear, and I can downshift fine. It just grinds. But if I downshift quick, it's fine. But going from first to second is like no bueno.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's bad.
Really?
So I plan on keeping that car. You said earlier why I don't just drift it. I'm just not used to it. I'm not comfortable in it. But now I'm not comfortable in the red car either. So, but I got to pick one for competition, right?
Or the purple car, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm gonna just completely focus all my efforts on that car. I am
Yeah.
gonna pull the transmission this winter and have that fixed, so
Yeah,
so
so
it's
a
actually
backup
there
car.
as a backup car,
Right.
Because that's something that I do need. I qualified every round in second gear, starting out in second gear.
Yeah.
I didn't win any battles, but
Yeah.
it's something that
You didn't win a
just
single battle?
no,
What?
I should have
Not
beat
a
Ben.
single battle.
I didn't win a battle.
Yeah, Ben's all in his head. He can't qualify. He gets all freaking cockeyed in his head. So
he still did better than me this year, so.
yeah.
But anyways, it's just a completely different car.
Yeah.
From what I'm used to on the SN95, I'm just so much used to that. So that's kind of what I
Right.
want to focus my efforts on. That's why I'm not driving the 197 for comp.
That makes sense. I'm just
Yeah.
afraid you're going to sell it. You're going to get used to the.
No, I'm not gonna sell it.
You're not going to want to drive it.
It's
what's
I'm
your-
into it too cheap.
What's
to sell
your red car tuned on? Like with the fuel?
it. 110.
110.
So that's one thing I'm working on again. Like we talked about. It's pretty cheap to get it from Co-op and Snohomish, and we at J2 we did have Sunoco before, but they pulled out from the distributor that we got it from. So we're trying to get VP in.
Yeah, you said VP's coming in.
That's what I'm working on it right now. We're
Oh,
literally in the
really? So
middle
it's
of
not a
talking.
sealed deal?
Not yet.
I got Trick 110, Trick
Yeah.
Fuel 110
Yeah.
from right down the street from my house. It was
Yeah.
more expensive.
How much was it?
It was like $11 a gallon.
Well, that's not bad because
But-
110 VP is $10.
But the funny thing is that it's right down the street, so I don't have to
Yeah,
drive.
yeah, that's the
and then
easy
the
part.
kid that they pay to do it doesn't care and I bought 20 gallons.
You're not supposed to say this on the podcast.
Whatever.
You don't want to get him in trouble.
Nah, I don't think
I
he
highly
will.
doubt he listens.
I doubt anybody
Or
listens.
anybody
That's
from
part of
his
that.
work listens.
But
We got lots of listeners, guys. I don't know if you guys knew that.
oh yeah, lots of listeners.
Can you
We
guys
had like
track that?
1,050
I can.
downloads.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
But
Anyways,
but
keep
anyways, so the dude I think I got like 25 gallons for the cost of 20 gallons. So it was pretty cheap.
Well, you know what you need to do next time, because obviously he doesn't give a fuck. Tip him a 20 and be like, hey, let's work out a deal.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Bring an
I
extra
told him.
can.
I told him to just I don't want to do. I'm not trying to do that.
Why not?
far, but I actually was
Who
just
cares?
like,
Yeah, right.
dude, come out to the track. I'll take you for a ride along. And he's
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
cool. And it's like I'm kind of tipping him without
Well,
actually
Brad's
tipping
high
him.
on freaking.
Are you trying to just give him the
edibles.
tip or what?
Brad likes
Just
to eat
a tip.
edibles before he hits the track, so just be careful. Guys.
Yeah, sure.
He's freaking.
I'm crazy.
He's crazy with his edibles these days.
No, but it's it's expensive fuel, and Dylan suggested that I switch to E85. He's like, oh, it'll run cooler, but I'm in the mindset of like, I got this car for a reason. Don't change it
when it works.
Yeah, it works perfect. Like
Don't.
the car runs. Other than as long as you make sure you plug in all
4
8
spark plugs.
all 8 spark plugs. If you only plug in 6. And 2 of them don't snap in, they will fall out, and then you wonder why the car runs like shit.
You weren't running on 6 on Friday though.
For like 2 laps, I was.
Oh, okay. Well, wait,
and then I switched it.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
My first 2 laps were good, and then my second 2 laps were terrible. And then I figured it out, and then it ran the rest.
That's how I knew you were comfortable in that car Friday, because I was there for your first lap, and then your second lap, you went up, or Carlton was waiting there, and you went up next to him, and you said 2. So he followed you. That's how I knew you were comfortable. Because when I saw him later that night, I'm like, dude, I saw Brad go out there first lap, and in his second lap, you were waiting there. And did he tell you to go with him? Because I thought that like you would say, no, don't go with me yet. I'm still learning it. He's like, yeah, he told me to go too, so I went with him. And you guys did perfectly. You did perfectly fine.
To be honest with you, Ben was out there earlier. I would have chased him on my second lap.
Yeah.
Like it was that comfortable. That car felt great.
It's ridiculous.
If I had the gearing on Saturday, I would have ran the 5/8, but I just don't have the gearing yet.
Yeah.
So
don't you have that stuff getting shipped up to you?
I don't know. I need to figure it all out. But if nothing else, I just need to buy it.
So DJ Drifts asked on the last podcast, he said, what advice would you give someone who wants to get into grassroots that doesn't have much tandem practice?
Get something very simple.
He already has a car.
Oh, whatever. I don't know.
Seat time.
Just drive it. Just drive. Don't give a shit. Just drive.
I've talked about this before in the podcast, but my biggest thing is you got to look at, like, okay, whoever you're chasing, they're sliding with you, so you don't need to give them that much room. Because if you give them too much room and they spin out, you're most likely going to hit them. You're not going to have enough time to react. So
put it this way. Chase was chasing me, and he was literally, like, within a foot from me, and I looped out, and we just looped out together.
Yeah, you're better off being closer, honestly, because
more people have hit me because they're
too far away,
way too far away.
Yep.
And I had somebody hit me a while back in my IS300, and it was like everybody spun out in front of me, and I was able to slow the car down enough to then come to a stop because it was like yard sale, because there was like 5 people ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes and creamed into the side of me.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't even know it.
So I'll try to explain this how I feel.
Sorry, please do.
Try to get as much seat time as possible with somebody that you're very comfortable with. So Eddie can vouch for this. Me and Eddie would drive together all the time a year and a half ago. Yep. And Eddie could follow me, bumping my door because he knew.
I was following you your first year.
Because he knew that I wouldn't spin out.
Yep.
So my suggestion is get as comfortable as you can driving with somebody as much as you can, but don't sacrifice seat time if you can't drive with that same person.
Right.
Competition-wise, you want to try to drive with as many different people as you can because you never know who you're going to go up against.
Exactly.
But as much as you can, try to get comfortable with somebody and just keep getting closer and closer and closer until you're literally rubbing doors. Their tire on door.
Yeah, and watch video because like you think you'll
back.
You'll think you're close, and then you watch video and you're like, oh my gosh, I still got like another freaking 5 car lengths. So that's the biggest thing. Like I would watch video of myself. I'm like, I feel like I'm on his door, and you'd watch video. You're like, oh my gosh, I have so much room to get closer.
Yep.
So yeah, I 120% agree with what Tori said. Just follow somebody you're close with. You know they're not going to spin it, because then eventually you're going to get closer and closer and closer, but until you're actually literally touching. Like I've actually been following somebody and gave them a high five while I was like following them. It was with your car. Actually, I was following you. I didn't give you a high five, but I actually I was with my brother-in-law and I touched the car.
It was during DriftCon.
It was during DriftCon, yeah. And
but
so, like,
but you're not allowed to put your hands out of the car.
Yeah, don't do that.
You're not supposed to do that, but you'll get to that point. My point is, you'll get to that point where you're that comfortable with getting, close on somebody, because then you'll be able to read. You'll be able to see, okay, they're gonna over rotate, boom, and then you'll spin.
A lot of it is like if you can match their angle too. You'll feel when they're gonna over rotate, because you'll feel you're gonna over rotate, and then you understand, okay, I need to start backing down. Like Chase knew that I was gonna over rotate because he felt that he was gonna over rotate.
Yeah,
and then he just like was like, oh well, here slow this down, and he started slowing down really hard as I over rotated, and he was able to kind of drive away from me, like kind of spin with me and like stop the car. and it's just seat time. It's like there's no
seat time.
There's no
That's
secret.
the only thing I get. Everybody that always asks, how do I get better? How do I get better? Seat time.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the
100%.
number one thing is how you get better.
Yeah,
100%.
I realized, like, I had the thought a few months ago, like right at I think going into the last Pro-Am, I was just like, I am not going to get where I want to be with what I'm doing. Like, I don't drive. Like, I just don't drive. Like, the car, like, I drive once, I fix the car, and then I drive again.
Yeah,
and then I'm afraid to drive it because it's going to have issues.
Yeah.
Because it's already having issues, and then I don't drive it. So it's like, it was one of those things that's like, I need to figure out a way to drive. Like, I'm not driving enough, and the people that are good drive a lot.
Yeah.
And
well, you were planning on doing an LS swap before the season started. What kind of deterred you from doing that?
the hard part is that it's a really so like how much I have into the car and into the motors. Like in hindsight, I probably should have just done that, and it probably would have been just fine. It seemed on paper more cost effective to do to just keep with the JZ because it's all there.
Yeah.
It just needed the setup, or it just needed a new long block, and everything was already there.
Right.
And it technically probably was cheaper to do that, but I don't know. I mean, I was gonna do like a 5.3, and it was just like I didn't know if that was what I really wanted, and I was very indecisive, and I just didn't see myself wanting to. Like I didn't want to regret it. Like going back, I just ditched out on the JZ
now
setup.
You regret not going to the.
I don't know what I regret. Like I don't think I regret anything. I think that I gave it one last
hurrah,
solid college try.
Yeah.
And then just decided that I need to go a different way. And then I started talking to Dylan, asking him about his motor.
Yeah.
And he made the joke of, I'm selling my whole car. Like, you should just buy that, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I'm pretty, like, I love my car and everything.
Pretty invested in your IS.
And then after Pro-Am, I call him and I'm like, hey, what's up with that car? And he's like, well, there's somebody that's interested in it, and they're giving me like they were going to give him like a full cash offer, but there was some other like kind of strings attached kind of thing.
Right.
And I was like, well, I can do this. This is my best offer. And he graciously was just like, yeah, man, I want to see you do well. Here you go.
Yeah.
And so it was great. Like Dylan's awesome. I love Dylan. And
him and his dad, man. I just texted him today, and I was like, dude, your dad is freaking awesome.
His dad is super cool. I love hanging out with his dad.
Yeah. They're cool people.
They're and his brother Dayton.
Yeah.
I didn't know that his name is actually like Daytona.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He's referred to as Daytona. I assume that's correct.
The very first time I saw Dylan drive was at Evergreen.
At Evergreen, yeah.
That open drift day, with you.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the first time in your car.
Yeah,
that's when Chase had his little E30.
Crazy driver.
Yep.
Chase was like, I talked to Chase a little bit about it before I bought the
Chase
car.
Worked on the car a bunch.
Yeah, and Chase was like, dude, I drove that car once, like 2 years ago, and I was just like, this car's like cheating. And he's like, I'm gonna build a car just like it.
Are you saying
and then
you're a
build
cheater?
E30. I mean, it's like cheating. It's not actually cheating.
Oh, okay.
But
because it's so easy to drive.
He says it's so easy to drive, and I was like, yeah, it is. It's like that car's money. Like it's
steering feels good, like power steering, all that.
Yeah, everything
really
feels good. It's just everything mechanically feels good.
Right? You said you were just saying you got that little.
I feel like it has like a weird wheel hop, but I think it also has to do with it being like I just don't think that the suspension's dialed in.
Gotcha.
Like having the alignment correct, and I don't know. I mean, I think I'm going to try the WiseFab and see if I like it.
Cool. Right
and
on.
Worst case, I can always sell the WiseFab.
Yeah, you can always take it back off and stuff.
Yeah, so
for sure.
I'm gonna try the WiseFab. Keep my options open.
Is that what Chase runs?
No, he has an SLR kit.
Oh, okay.
SLR. Yeah. SLR's good.
So I've heard. I probably will end up doing that on my E46.
Does anybody
right now it has just a
Does anybody in Pro-Am run with an S chassis run WiseFab?
I don't know. I don't look at everybody's S chassis.
I know Matt doesn't.
Not right now. No, because the last person that did it was Orion. He was the only other person. If Chris Johnson comes back, he has YSAP.
I thought he was supposed to be
I heard
back
that
this
he
year.
is. He might be coming back
He's
next
working
year.
on
I
his
don't know.
car. Yeah, I saw him working on his car. So.
What needed it? What's
He completely stripped it.
Oh,
Yeah, he stripped it. He did
I
the
think
whole
he's
thing.
going through and just fixing some of the mishmash stuff. Because I was talking to him at 425, Tori's favorite place, and we were talking about it, and he was talking about how he just I think he was kind of on the same level that I was with the IS300. Was that you change stuff, you keep changing stuff over the years, and you end up with like kind of a mishmash of a bunch of stuff that wasn't really big picture. It was just
Right.
kind of like you keep messing with it. And I think that he is like trying to go through his whole program, his whole car,
Gotcha.
and try and fix everything, and then come back.
Yeah.
And that's what it seemed like to me. But it'd be cool to see him out there. I'd like to drive with him.
Yeah. What do you guys think about like doing like a rotary swap? Like a rotary swap in like a Mustang or a rotary swap
You
in
should.
a GTO?
You should, because you have so much money just to burn. You should get like a 4-rotor twin turbo.
I should have Mad Mike. I think that'd be awesome.
You should do like full out.
Dude,
'cause
he's like
that seems
he's
very reasonable.
Legit genius when it comes to like rotary stuff. He's hella good.
you know what car I truly cannot wait to see out there, and I don't. It's not going to be a Pro-Am car, but just see
the
drifting.
Cybertruck, the new Cybertruck.
Nope. Just to see drifting just to see drifting in general
What's that?
is Chris's
Oh,
Honda
the
Civic.
Civic. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It
that
is
thing is
so
rad.
fucking
Yeah.
sick. So I was just there earlier today. I dropped off a fitting from J2.
Because you didn't get to see it at SEMA, huh?
I didn't get to see it at SEMA. I saw it before SEMA, when he was keeping it hush-hush because
Yeah.
he was buying a couple
Yeah.
fittings and a couple random, stuff for it at
Yeah.
J2 because it was so, convenient right across the street. But, dude, that thing
It's sweet,
is
yeah.
sick.
Yeah, it's so dope.
I cannot wait to see that thing out there.
Yeah, me too.
I know he's already told me for a fact it's not a Pro-Am car. It's going to be out there drifting, here and there, but
Yeah,
it's not.
even FD legal.
It
Correct.
I mean, like,
The rear subframe isn't. But,
yeah, but who knows? We might see it in
Gridlight?
Pro. I mean, like, there's
Yeah, you never
he's
know.
getting a lot of awesome. Like, it did so well for him. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Honda like loves him.
Yeah.
like beyond, because they just like. I know that he said that some of the bigwigs at Honda hit him up like directly, like called him directly and was like thanking him, and they said that he made their booth
Yeah,
at
that's
SEMA,
so awesome.
which is huge.
I agree,
because they have a giant booth at SEMA, and
just from the stuff
like-
that I saw, and I mean, not only because I was looking out for it, but just
Right.
from the stuff I saw from SEMA, it's like it was what day was SEMA started? Monday, right?
Tuesday.
I was on my work computer the Friday before,
Yeah.
and I go on front page. I'm at work, right? I go on
Right.
front page of Yahoo, and there's Honda talking about a drift car.
Oh, really?
Yes,
That's
front
sick.
page of Yahoo. I sent it to Chris that day. I'm like, dude,
That's sick.
this is going crazy.
yeah, it's
Whatever.
huge. It's
Yeah.
huge for him. I'm so pumped
Yeah.
for him. I'm beyond excited for him, and I really want him to he's going to capitalize on it, and it's rad. I'm so beyond stoked and excited. He's going to do some testing days, and I'm sure I'll figure out weaseling my way into those to
Yeah.
do some tandems with him.
Well, we're gonna try to
'Cause I
go
wanna
to the
chase him down.
Burnyard in next year at SEMA. Me and Brad are trying to go.
Yeah,
To the Burnyard.
Well-
we're talking about I was talking to what's his name that works with Ken, Scotty,
Yeah.
and he gave me the information.
Scotto or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And so he gave me the information to contact to get us at the Burnyard, and it'll be cool. Like, I'm down to just go down to drive down just for that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, maybe it'll be bigger. Like the first year, which was last year, they did the Burnyard. It was like a teeny tiny little spot. It was
Now
like
it's
you could only do
huge.
donuts. Yeah,
I
now
feel
it's
like
a lot bigger.
you'd get your car down there 100% paid for.
Probably
We might both.
both of us maybe.
Well, that'd be awesome.
We might
Yeah.
both. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're in the works, but we're trying. Yeah, Brian Scotto is the guy we ran into in Toyo, and we're trying to get that all worked out. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
not
see.
this year, possibly the next year.
And like of course it'd probably be like my trailer that would bring the my truck and trailer
for sure.
bringing the rigs down. Because where's your trailer, Eddie?
It's in my backyard, bro. What are you talking
You
about?
don't have a backyard.
Yeah, I do. I have a backyard view.
But no, it'd be cool. It'd be cool. It'd be fun just to do it. And I was gonna try and do
Brad.
Yeah, I was gonna try and do Winter Jam, but I think that kind of fell apart. So I'm all right with that, though. It's just too much right at the holiday.
Dude,
and
you've been
stuff.
When
gone
is
like
that?
every single day.
It's like the weekend before Christmas.
the 14th.
Because the Vicks want me to go with them down there.
Who's Vicks?
The
Vicks
Vicks,
Vaporub?
the Vicks are the guys with the
Yeah,
Mustang that
I
were
met
down there.
them.
So they're good friends with Farouk. Really good
Yeah.
friends with Farouk. So
Yeah, I talked
to John.
for like an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes to talk.
Yeah,
That's cool.
He's a great guy.
alright.
So he was saying something like, "Well, we're going to take a car down, and we could probably just, trailer your car down too. But I don't want to take the red car if it's just going to go down there and have issues."
I was actually talking to him about that, and
100% figuring it out. Yeah.
they were interested in I'm like, well, I was asking what truck they have because I need my truck, but I was like, well, if you have a truck that can tow a 2-car trailer,
Yeah.
then I might be down to
Right.
fly down there, drive, and then fly home.
Yeah.
and pitch in for fuel or whatever. They
Yeah.
seem like they're the kind of people that make things happen.
They do. They do. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. It was interesting to see that Mustang up on top of one of the jumps.
Yep.
at,
I heard
in
about that.
motocross.
Yeah.
So that's Jalen's second time ever driving a full day on the track.
Yeah.
And his first day ever driving, he was doing the 3/8 bank and through all the way through the infield, no issues. So it's pretty cool. That's
What engine?
it's a Illuminator 4.6 with a Whipple.
Oh, okay.
So it's got 700 horsepower. So it's
Maybe.
a crazy car.
It's hard to say because they're running it on premium gas.
Correct. Yes.
And
So-
they
but it's
and
probably
then
has
they
less than that
tuned
right
down the supercharger from what I understood because I told them to do that. I was like you need to make that thing make 500 to 600 horsepower and you'll be totally fine.
Regardless, it's a lot for somebody to learn on, and it's great because I love Jalen and Jonah. They're two brothers. John's their dad, and Jalen is just learning driving the Mustang. He's gonna do grassroots and possibly pro-am next season. So I was talking to their dad about it, and he's like, "Well, what should we do? Do you think you should run grassroots? Do you think you should run pro-am? Do you think you should do both? Because he really wants to do pro-am." So it sounds like I told him, I said, if he's going to run pro-am, he needs to run grassroots too, at least, so he can get as much seat time as possible.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's dead set on running pro-am,
But
then run
the
pro-am.
story behind it is that he bought a Mustang that was it was originally built for Ken Gucci, apparently.
It was-
I'm not screwing it up.
Ken
So
Gucci,
the
but it is-
Mustang that they bought was Ken Gucci's 2005 FD1 car. After that, it went to China. It was Vaughn's car. In 2013, it won a championship in China. And I believe it was there for a couple years. In 2013, it won the championship in China with Vaughn.
Okay.
And Vaughn sold it in 2014 or 15 to
That series.
to a guy with a lot of money in Los Angeles.
No, apparently it got sold to a series, and then that guy bought it, and then they
from
bought
there?
just the car, and then all the spare parts got left with the series.
Gotcha.
He actually
And so
sold
they're
it to me.
trying to get the spare parts,
Gotcha.
and then they. So I guess the reason why he crashed was because he was driving on pretty decent tires, 275s or whatever, and then they had some time left in the drifting in the rental, and they put on these I saw it go out and I was like, wow, those are really skinny tires for that car. I was like, I wonder if it doesn't have the factory or the motor that came with. I was wondering if it had some, because it was the only time I saw it.
Yeah.
I was coming off the track and he was coming on the track, and I was like, it looks like a pizza cutters.
Yeah.
It was tiny tires, and then apparently he threw it in just like he thought he had been, with big tires on
And
it, and it ended up off on. I was standing there and I kind of re-prepped my car, fuel, tires, just
Right.
looking through stuff, and I was looking out and I was like, I've never seen a car that far off the track, on the 3/8 bank.
That's nothing, dude.
I was like,
That's
I've never
That's
seen
Brian.
that thing.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Brian Gerard jumped in the car with me.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to teach me a manji entry.
Yeah.
Because I never do them. I always clutch kick.
Yeah.
And I try it, and I manji, and then I go straight. We jumped the 3/8, landed, hit a jump, and literally landed onto the 5/8.
Yeah.
All the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So I have never seen a car
you
that
haven't
far
seen
up.
it.
Actually, I've seen them go like all the way onto the 5/8s. I've never seen them hit a jump.
Yeah.
But I've seen them like all the way on the 5/8s. But I've never seen them like just sitting out that far. And I was like, man, that car looks really high up.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I wonder if he hit a jump.
Oh, yeah.
And then later, the next day, one of my buddies that I actually used to work with sent me texts, and that's when I sent it to everybody.
Oh,
that was the first time I saw it. It was like ooh,
didn't even know what
that
happened?
car was on the jump, because I had stood there for so long, and then like my son was at home with my mom, and I was just like, I should get going home.
Yeah.
Like, and it looked like I was like about to go out, and then I was like, ooh, that looks like it's gonna be a while, and so
Yeah.
I just loaded up, threw some. Fortunately, Evergreen let me leave my trailer there, so
Oh, you did?
yeah, so
that's cool.
I took it out once and I left one. And I
That's
drove 2
awesome.
days. Yeah, it was cool. And so I just threw my wheels that need to be, the tires that need to be changed in the back of my truck, and then went. And with that 4.8, that car burns. It takes forever to burn through a set of tires.
That's awesome.
Like, I was surprised because I had one set that were like, for the IS300,
Yeah.
were going to be like one more run. And then I kept taking run after run after run, and I'd go in and I would just be like, wow, these things have a lot of tread. Like it, and the car doesn't make the smoke that.
Well, because the wheel speed's way slower.
Yeah, exactly. But which is fine, which is great.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and granted, the fuel's a lot more expensive, but the burn rate on the tires is so much lower that it's
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. And so I like it. It's actually one of the reasons why that car is more drivable.
Yeah.
The quick change, like I thought it was kind of a gimmick, like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to be able to like change your gearing.
Yeah.
But that quick change makes that
So you got a quick change in your car?
I don't, but I've worked with them a lot in the past.
Yeah.
that quick change makes the car so much more
Easily
drivable.
Yeah.
And it just is so predictable. It's really nice. Like, I love that. I wish I would have had it in the IS300.
The whole accessibility is nice too. I mean, you go whatever
It's
truck
10
you
minutes
want.
and you change the gear
it's
ratio.
less than that.
It's like 2 minutes.
I-
It's like literally
gear
like,
fluid, like you change the gears.
yeah, it's a
fluid.
half a quart. It's a half a quart, and it's really accessible. Also on mine, he put the fuel cell back far enough that you can take a impact gun and put it on there and zip them off.
Yeah.
And then you pull it off real quick. There's no bolts in there holding the gears in. The gears are held in by the case cover. So you just grab the gears, put them in the, clean them, or either just take them out if you're in a hurry. And I've done it for Dean Carney. I did, and you just grab them, put them down, grab the other gears, put them in, put the cover on, and then tighten them up real quick. It's like they want to be like 10, 20 foot-pounds on them, and then the fucking car leaves. Like, it's that quick.
Make sure you put the right ones on top and the right ones on the bottom, though.
Yeah, because you can switch
swap
it.
them.
It can be a
Changes
4.8 or a 3.8.
Yeah.
Depending on which way you have it. Yeah,
I wouldn't-
it's something like that.
I honestly wouldn't recommend taking it off with.
You don't know.
I understand if you got to be in a hurry, you can take it off with an impact gun, but I definitely wouldn't do that considering they're aluminum studs. And
Well, as long as you take them off, you don't accidentally tighten them that way. But also, I missed such step. You have to put fluid in it. But the fluid,
That's what I was saying.
but the filler is like right there, and I just take I have one of those like donkey dick looking things,
Yeah.
and I can just squeeze it, and then
My
it
GTO
doesn't
is
take
pretty
long at
quick
all.
diff. It's got I can have it off in 45 minutes. No, I can have it off and put it back on in 45 minutes.
That's real quick compared to
super
5
quick.
minutes.
Compared to Tori's solid axle.
You have to
spend
replace the
like
whole
all day.
axle, right?
it's 6 bolts.
Yeah. it
How do
still
you
takes
switch
a
the
long
ring and
time.
pinion? How fast can you switch the ring and pinion?
No, it's 6 bolts for the entire
For
axle.
the whole axle. It
That's what I'm
still
saying.
takes
I
a
could
while.
probably switch
But
it.
you have to
I could probably
carry a
switch it faster than you could switch yours.
No, you couldn't.
Really?
Ooh,
could
ooh,
not-
this sounds like a good
We should
challenge.
have a race.
I mean, as
You
long as
think you could switch out the whole axle, put in your whole axle back in
Do you
your car,
have any other gearing for that?
and
Like
faster than
another
I can
axle?
take mine out and
No.
put it back in. I guarantee you. I will
Do you have
race
any-
you. I will fight before. I
Okay,
get to
that's fine.
We should record
Tori, do you
this.
have any plans to change
This is a
gearing?
challenge.
So I've looked at quick changes. How do I explain this? So I did have 373s before, and I just switched to 410s.
Yeah, that'll be perfect for the 5.8.
Yeah, I wanted it easier for the 5.8s.
3/8 you'll be freaking top of third.
Yeah. So,
which is fine to be top of. That's why that 4/8's really nice. Is because you are top of the gear. Like you're not doing. It settles in. You can't overspin the tire.
Yeah.
On my 4/8, like in fourth gear, you can't overspin the tire, so it makes the car really drivable.
Yeah.
And if you need to feel like you need to give more angle, you can left foot brake or whatever to give it more.
Right.
But you're really not overspinning it. I wouldn't mind actually changing, maybe going to like a 4.9 on the 3/8 because I felt like that you could. And even Chase and I were talking about it, but you might even think about doing a different gearing for the 5/8 if you can.
Yeah, it would take a long time to do it. It's not a simple, quick, easy thing. I mean,
but you could do it before if you had another axle that you could swap out the day before or whatever.
It would be easier to swap out axles than it would be to just change gears. So I looked at doing a quick change in my car. It's doable. You buy the quick change and then you buy the actual axle tubes, you buy the axles, and then the biggest thing as far as fabrication wise, we'd have to weld on all new brackets for my lower control arms and my shocks.
Would it still be a solid axle? Do they make a solid axle quick change?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what we run in the super late model.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Car. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're just aluminum tubes.
But on the other hand, if you just figured out what gearing you really wanted for the 5/8, like a really close gearing, you could just do that and have another.
That's kind of like why I went up to the 410s this year, because I knew that they'd be way better for me on the 5/8 and it would still work on the 3/8. Obviously that you can fine tune and I can get them closer, but if I gotta stick with one and that's my plan, 410 is the best option. That's kind of why I went that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think a 410 will be it'll be good all the way around because you can still run the 3/8 in third gear. And then you can run fourth and on the 5/8.
Yeah, no issues.
Which is kind of like me with my GTO. Is I run a 3.9 in the GTO, so I can run third gear.
Yeah.
I still have room. I'm pretty much top of third in third gear on the 3/8, and then I can run fourth gear, and I'm like mid RPM in fourth gear running the 5/8 on the GTO. So with the nitrous, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it to be on the top of fourth on the 5/8, and then you don't want to sit on limiter the whole time. So I feel like it's a good gear.
I mean, you can be close. Yeah. I actually a lot of these guys like Travis Reeder and Dylan and Chase and stuff. They want to be where they're pretty much on limiter going around the 3/8 bank,
right?
Because it makes it so you're not over driving the car, right? It makes it so you're right there with it, and you with my IS 300 I could easily one of the reasons I didn't like clutch kicking is because it's really easy to overspin the tire and the car goes full lock.
Oh, right.
And so it's a lot better to be where you can limit your wheel speed to not going over, not overspinning a tire. You can also limit your RPM.
Right.
If you have a tunable ECU where you do it, you can limit your RPM to where you're on limiter when it's
still a couple hundred before.
Yeah, you could, because that's what I was going to do with my IS 300 was I was just going to gets a little more complicated, but you could easily just hook up to the ECU and just, let's say the right wheel speed is for the 5/8 and fourth gear is 7,000 RPMs, let's just say.
Right.
And I normally run to 7,600. So you just limit it to 7,000 and you just stand on limiter.
Right.
But it doesn't really hurt the motor because you're not really overspinning it. You're actually way under.
Right.
It's just telling you when you're at without having to stare at the attack, you can just be on throttle and it's just on limiter, but it's not overdoing anything.
Right,
it's just telling you to stop. So you back off. So you have it just so where the limiter's just barely over the wheel speed you want.
Right.
And so you feel limiter and you just barely back off and you're your wheel speed's
super
perfect.
Smooth. Yeah.
That's the kind of the quote unquote cheap way to do it if you don't have a quick change and you can change the gearing.
Yeah.
Because that quick change setup isn't cheap. I mean, I'm sure even for the straight axle,
no, it's not. I mean, it's basically the same price. It's all said and done.
Yeah, it's $5,000.
Oh, a little bit less than that.
If you have because with my setup, it's drive shaft shop axles, which are like a couple grand.
Yeah, if you count that.
The diff is like, $2,500 or whatever, and then the like mine has like a MA Motorsports subframe and shit. Like it gets expensive.
Yeah, if you count all that in, then it's a lot.
Like $5,000.
But just the diff itself, the quick change itself with the stubs, it's like $2,500.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
$2,500.
If you count everything,
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, because it doesn't
depending on what drive shaft you might have to change the what is that, the Alpit shaft or whatever on the.
Well, no, you mainly have to just change like mine uses yoke. At the U joint, it uses like U bolts or whatever. Bolts down.
Yep.
Like it's just different, but it works.
With the caps.
Anyways, what time are we at here, sir?
Minute and 50 seconds, or an hour and 50 seconds.
Hour and 50.
54.
Is there anything that we want to touch on that we haven't? I feel like we jumped around. I apologize to the listeners. I feel like we kind of jumped around a lot. We didn't really stay on one topic at once, right. But my son kept knocking on the door, so I kept having to go and talk to him. But no, I mean, I'm really happy with my car. I think that's the takeaway.
Oh, actually, I'll ask you. I mean, we'll try to end on this. Maybe I asked the other two guys, Eddie and Ben, this question. It's going to be a lot different with you. Well, kind of with Eddie too, because he's got a different car. But the question I asked was, what did you learn from your last season, and what are you doing this season to change it? I believe that's the exact wording that I used with them.
Okay, that's a good question. So. One thing I took away from this last season was that I loved the media stuff we did, and I'm going to push harder to do more media stuff, because even if you have kind of a shitty year, like where things don't really go your way, frustrating year, you still can go back and look at the good times and the bad times, and you have something better to pitch sponsors. I straight up talked to several people that I showed them, like at SEMA, I showed them a video on my phone, and they were like, we love the production value of it. Like it looks great. We like you guys on camera. We'd be totally down to do something for next year.
I personally really liked it. I watched all of you guys. Same with Tyler and Wands. I mean, I thought it was really cool that all you guys were doing that.
I think it works.
Hopefully we see more of that. I'd like to do that with somebody next year too. So
or even, like, the nice thing about doing it with somebody else too is that it takes a little pressure off of the one driver. Like, you don't have to worry about, like, if I have a shitty event, at least Ben's carrying. And generally one of us would have kind of a not as good of event, and then the other person would have a really good event, or like a decent event. Neither of us did like extremely well, like we made it to finals and won or anything. But things are getting better. The other thing that I take away is that, like I said earlier, I just had this realization that I'm not going to get to where I want to be with what I'm doing. So I needed to kind of sit back and figure out what exactly should I do. It brought me to acquiring that E46. Seat time car, and then also now acquiring the Nissan 240 that's LS powered. To be honest with you, if it was a 2J powered and it ran consistently every time, like I would have bought it too. Like,
let's talk about how good you are behind the camera, bro.
Again, while you were peeing, we just got done talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, like, things get better. You get more comfortable. It's like anything else. Like, you're driving or being in front of the camera or whatever, you get way better. And it's, I'm enjoying, like I'm at a spot where I'm enjoying what's going on and the direction that everything's going in. And I also, like I said, bring back to what I'm doing isn't working. One of my goals for this next year is drive in another series. So I'm trying to figure out the logistics and everything of driving at Drift League at Irwindale, because I think it's a good series. I think it's a competitive series. They need more drivers that are going to be stoked. They'll be stoked to see me out there. I've talked to a few of the people that run it and stuff, and it's a good series to drive in. It's Pro 2 rules, so it's very like Pro 2 oriented.
Can I just bump in real quick? Have you thought about?
Bump in, bro.
Have you thought about possibly keeping the IS and maybe leaving it down there?
I actually thought about that, but the problem is that I would have to buy a truck trailer, or at least a trailer because you can't keep stuff at Irwindale. I even asked. I even talked to a couple of, or at least one team that has a 240. It has a JZ. They have a JZ powered 240 that they're building. That knowing the team and everything, it's gonna be sick.
JZ powered 240.
Yeah, I asked them if they would be willing to rent it out, because then I can fly in and drive it.
Yeah.
And I could fly in like me and like a spotter, and it would. Granted, the problem is that gets really expensive. So it's like trying to figure out cost effectiveness.
But if you paid for storage down there, let's just say it was $150 a month, 5 months, right? 5 rounds, give or take. I don't know how they run their schedule, but
4 rounds, I think.
$150 a month for one is cheaper than driving down there. But let's say you found somebody that is down there that you could keep the car at their house, and then they would provide the transportation for your car and your extra wheels.
Yeah, I mean, like if I could find the right deal where it's like somebody has a 2-car trailer or multi-car trailer that can bring my stuff, and I already own the IS300. I thought about. I never talked to Eddie about it, but I thought about buying his trans and stuff and putting it in the IS300 and sending it down there.
Yeah.
And having a LS powered IS300 down there.
Yeah.
Because I'm comfortable in the car, and then I think I could get pretty comfortable with like an LS in it, but I don't know. The hard part is it's like I'm waiting to find out what the deal is with the schedule.
Yeah.
And if the schedule is right, and there's like time in between every event where it's like I don't have to rush it down there, I don't have to do all this stuff, it might be better. I'm also willing to partner with somebody. Like if somebody wants to drive down there, wants to help me transport down there, and we could pay somebody. I was talking to I'm spacing on what their names are because I've only met them once, with the Mustang that we were just talking about,
the Vix.
I was talking to them. You could tell his kind of ears perked up a little bit when I started talking about look, I was like, I'm willing to work with somebody, and we could pitch in together to pay for somebody to drive my rig down there, and then we could both work out of my rig, and then we could either drive back together, or we could pay that person to drive it back, and then I fly down there. Because I think that after this last weekend of driving down there, picking up the car and driving home, I am not convinced that I could drive all the way down there and then be at my top to compete and then drive home.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, I don't driving home's not the big deal. I could span it out a few days, and because my schedule's pretty loose, and make it work. But driving down there and then competing, I felt exhausted, and I got lots of sleep between. I got freaking 8 hours plus of sleep on my way down there and everything. I still felt exhausted.
Yeah.
And so it was just it's just not. This is where it's going to hold me up from competing down there, because it's tiring and it's hard to do that. I know that at least in the years past that Drift League and was it Just Drift that's down there?
Yeah. Start
before our series does.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, you should see me at the first event of one of those before I compete at Evergreens, because then it gives me a leg up on a lot of you guys, because I get to have a competition before I get to cut my teeth on competition in that car before I come back here and try and then throw down.
Right.
So it'll be good.
Cool, man. Yeah, we're super excited. This season is just literally just a few months away. You guys have anything else? We're gonna wrap this thing up here pretty quick.
I don't think so.
We got kids that need to go to bed here pretty soon. So
yeah, I got the rest of the Monday Night Football to give them a watch. Wait, Sunday night.
But we appreciate you having you on, Tori, again. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
it was
anytime.
It's good to have Brad in here finally. It's been a long time since we've done one with Brad, so. We will have another one next week. We have another guest coming on. And
What's
we're
her name?
looking forward to, you'll find out, bro.
Oh.
You'll find out. Don't, just keep calm. Just take some edibles and you'll be good. Just like Brad. It keeps you chill, right, Brad?
Oh yeah.
You guys, thanks so much for listening. Stay tuned. We'll have another one coming out shortly. We will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.